There's a fountain in the center of Dreamland from which all the world's dreams spring to life. In the heart of that fountain lies a magical artifact known as the Star Rod that beams the dreams across the cosmos. Or at least it did, until the day it was shattered into pieces by the evil King Dedede. As the people of Dreamland suffered through night after night of dreamless slumber, Kirby, the roly-poly hero, boldly announced his intention to investigate the Dream Spring and find the cause of all the trouble. And that's how our story begins in Kirby's Adventure for the NES. It may have been one of the last games officially released for the system, but it's certainly one of the best. Kirby's Adventure would be the first of many sequels to the original Kirby's Dream Land, which was released for the old monochromatic Game Boy back in 1992 by HAL Laboratory, the Japanese game studio that brought us Balloon Fight, The Adventures of Lolo, and Earthbound. For Kirby's debut on the Game Boy, director Masahiro Sakurai had conceived an easier game that could be played through quickly by Game Boy owners on the go. The original was a success, and when development began for Kirby's Adventure, the 16-bit Super Nintendo had already been released, but Nintendo's executives still wanted to support the aging NES. They asked HAL Laboratory to simply port the original Game Boy game over to the NES, but Sakurai knew players would want a deeper experience on a home console, so he decided to make an all-new game instead. For Kirby's first foray on a full-color system, the developers had to answer an important question. What color is Kirby? On the Game Boy, Kirby appears to be white, or maybe pea green depending on which model of Game Boy you're using, and he appears to be white on the North American packaging. The legendary Shigeru Miyamoto of Mario and Zelda fame thought that Kirby was yellow, but Sakurai always envisioned Kirby to be pink. It was reported that some members of the development team were shocked to see Kirby's cotton candy color, but on the Japanese packaging for the original Game Boy game, Kirby is depicted in his traditional pink, so it shouldn't have been that big of a surprise. While Kirby's Dream Land had been generally well received, some criticized it for being overly simplistic. In this first game, Kirby already had the ability to fly, or to inhale enemies and then spit them back out as stars, but he didn't have what would become his most important skill: the copy ability. In Kirby's Adventure on the NES, if you inhale certain types of enemies and then press down to swallow them, Kirby will copy that enemy's ability, weaponizing it for his own use. The copy ability creates a much deeper gameplay experience. The development team had created about 40 different abilities for Kirby to use, although the final list was narrowed down to 24. Even so, with that many abilities, there were a ton of viable strategies for any situation. The copy ability also allowed the developers to include some simple environmental puzzles. Bring along the correct ability, and you'll be able to find hidden rooms filled with 1-ups, or even switches that will open up new parts of the map. Finding all of the secrets adds a ton of replay value as players try for 100% completion. Kirby's Adventure is a late-generation NES game, and it really shows. The graphics have a beautiful hand-drawn quality and are very colorful. This is one of the best-looking games on the NES, and may even be better than some early 16-bit games. King Dedede returns as the antagonist, but Kirby's Adventure marks the first appearance of the Meta Knight, a mysterious swordsman that would return for many later Kirby games and spin-offs. The music was composed by Hirokazu Ando, with some help from the composer of the original Kirby's Dream Land, Jun Ishikawa. These upbeat, cheerful tunes fit perfectly with the gameplay and will have you humming along as you inhale enemies. But perhaps one of the most impressive things about Kirby's Adventure are its quality of life features. The cartridge has battery-backed memory and will automatically save your game when you complete a stage or find a hidden switch. The game is absolutely massive with 41 stages scattered across 7 worlds, so this is a welcome addition. In modern times, most games automatically save your progress, but back in 1993, this feature was virtually unheard of. It would take almost 2 decades before autosave became the standard. Kirby's Adventure was truly ahead of its time. So of course Kirby's Adventure was a huge success when it released in May of 1993, selling over 1.75 million copies, making it the 36th best-selling NES game of all time. In 1993, many gamers didn't have a new 16-bit console yet, so getting such a high-quality game for the NES was very exciting. Sadly, Kirby's Adventure never got a sequel on the NES. It was only about a year after the game's release that support for the NES officially ended. But that surely wasn't the end for the pink puffball. Kirby returned on the Game Boy with Kirby's Dream Land 2 in 1995, and he made the jump to 16-bit with Kirby Superstar in 1996 and Kirby's Dream Land 3 in 1997. And Kirby never really stopped, continuing to eat enemies all the way into modern times. Would the series have survived without the copy ability introduced in Kirby's Adventure? It's hard to say for sure, but without it, these games would be very different. Kirby's Adventure even got a remake in 2002 for the Game Boy Advance. Titled Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, this version has updated graphics and a multiplayer mode. While there are some minor changes to the gameplay, at its core, this is the same classic game. The fact that they didn't have to change it very much is a testament to the strength of the original. In modern times, players and critics still appreciate Kirby's Adventure for its approachable gameplay, tight controls, and stunning graphics. When IGN released their list of the top 100 NES games of all time, they ranked Kirby's Adventure at number 27. If you'd like to play Kirby's Adventure on a modern platform, it is one of the games that is preloaded on the NES Classic Mini, and as of this recording, it's one of the games included with the Switch's online service. Modern players that attempt this game will still have to deal with all the challenges NES games are notorious for. While the checkpoints in Kirby's Adventure are very forgiving, the bosses can be surprisingly tough. Make one too many mistakes, and it'll be game over. But what if I told you where to find all 17 hidden switches so that you can finish with a perfect 100%? What if I showed you secret shortcuts that would allow you to skip past some bosses or even beat the game in under 1 minute? And what if I showed you the best way to defeat every boss, even the nightmare itself? Well, On today's episode of You Can Beat Video Games, we'll learn all of that and more. If you're new to the channel, we're doing deep dives on retro video games and giving you the professional strategies that can be used by the casual gamer. Please make sure to subscribe and check out youcanbeatvideogames.com for episode lists, news, and official You Can Beat Video Games merchandise. And please join our Patreon for access to an exclusive Discord community and a chance to vote on future episodes. This episode was suggested and voted on by members of our Patreon community. Let's get started. Alright, Kirby's Adventure. It seems that something wicked has descended upon Dreamland. Dreams of war, dreams of liars, dreams of dragon's fire, and of things that will bite. So as we start up a new game, exit light and enter night. Take my hand, we're off to Never Never Land. Level 1 is called Vegetable Valley, which starts with a V, and when we pass through this door, we'll enter Stage 1-1. Now is a great time to get familiar with Kirby's basic moves. Inhale an enemy and press down to copy their ability. That guy gave us the beam ability. And press select if you want to release it. If you can inhale two enemies that grant abilities at the same time, you'll make a mix. And when you press down, you'll start a mix roulette that you can stop by pressing B. The mix roulette has a predictable pattern, and as you can see here in slow motion, if you're good at the timing, you can stop on any of the 24 abilities that you want. There are a few red herrings in the roulette to throw you off, like Cannon and Hyper. You won't be able to stop on those. If you inhale two different enemies, the game usually prioritizes the one that goes into Kirby's mouth first, but sometimes it seems like it always prioritizes one enemy type over another. So if you want consistent mixes, the best thing to do is to eat two of the same enemy type. If you press down to mix and very quickly press B, like almost at the same time, you'll always get the first slot on the roulette, which for a beam enemy is the stone ability. Now, I call that a quick mix, and you can also just let the roulette play out, and for a beam enemy you would get the throw ability. I call that an easy mix. These are two ways that you can get very consistent results from mixes. Also, if you're playing the 2002 remake, it seems like mixes work backwards, so the enemy that you eat second is the one that you get priority. So if you're playing that game, you may have to do things a little bit differently. Now down below the platform here on the left, you can press up to enter a hidden door, and inside we'll find the UFO. The UFO is one of Kirby's most powerful abilities, but you lose it when you reach the goal at the end of the stage. This is the only one of Kirby's abilities that works this way. Of course, there is a trick we can use to keep the UFO forever. Press select just as you get hit by an enemy. We didn't get it that first time, so we'll catch our star and try again. And this time we got it. Kirby will turn into a pink UFO, and when we take damage, he won't lose the ability. You will lose the ability if you press select or die, so watch your health. And if you take damage from fire, Kirby will turn into this red UFO, which isn't actually different from the other UFO, but we can pretend it is. Yes, the red UFO brings pestilence and death to all that oppose Kirby. Feel the wrath of the beams. When we go through the door here, we'll reach the goal bonus. Try to press A when the lift is at its lowest point, and that will vault you up to the highest tier, where you can get a 1-up. But back to the UFO. Normally, we would not have the UFO out here on the map, and you can see if you press select to release it and then eat the star, you get nothing. Now, there is another way to get a UFO, but we need to do a soft reset first because UFOs are sort of like items. They don't respawn whenever you go back into a stage. But if you reset, all the items and all the bonus stages will respawn, although your score will be reset and you'll go back to 4 lives. If you ever get low on lives, resetting could be a good idea, but your score will be reduced to 0, so if you care about your score, you may not want to do it. We only did the reset here so that we can make this UFO respawn, because I wanted to show you a different way to do the UFO trick. Try pressing start and select at the same time and then exiting the stage. If you timed it correctly, you'll still have the UFO, and it works just as well as the other way of doing the trick. You can also use this trick with a handheld ability like a sword, parasol, or hammer, so that you won't lose it whenever you take damage, but it won't work with most other abilities. Through this door, we'll find our first minigame, Crane Fever. Of the 3 different minigames in Kirby's Adventure, Crane Fever is the most common one. It's also the one that you can win the most lives from, and it's actually the easiest. You want to stop the crane so that it is perfectly centered on the Kirby doll that you want to capture, and I try to use that top bar with the flashing lights as a visual cue. So look for what feature on that top bar lines up with the Kirby you want to grab, and try to move the claw onto that spot. For each large Kirby you grab, you'll get 2 extra lives, and a small Kirby is worth 1. If you can get 2 big Kirby dolls, you'll get 4 extra lives, which is more than you'll get from any of the other bonus stages. That spiky monster is called a Gordo, and although you normally can't kill those guys, it seems that that star block above it was the only thing tethering it to this Earth. So whenever you remove those star blocks, the Gordos just float away. I'm not sure if they burn up in the atmosphere or if they go on into space, but that thing is definitely gone. There's a hidden Easter egg here. Go all the way to the right, and then go back to the left so that the warp star is off screen, and when you come back to the right, you'll see that the star has despawned, and now we can go farther to the right, where we'll see these letters that spell out HAL. There's nothing else over here other than that broom hatter, and even if you destroy the blocks, there's nothing else hidden underneath them. So whenever you're done messing around with the HAL letters, head back to the left, and you'll see that the warp star has come back, and now we can go on to the next part of the stage. We're about to fight a mini-boss, and the cutter ability that we have is the perfect weapon. Cutters are sort of like a boomerang. I'm not sure how a scimitar would return to you whenever you throw it. That seems to defy the laws of physics, but that's just how the cutters work. This mini-boss, called a Poppy Brothers Sr., won't be able to hit us if we stay about this far away from it and float up into the sky whenever it jumps in our direction. An easy strategy we can use is to wait for it to throw a bomb, and after the bomb explodes, go down to the bottom, throw a few cutters to the left, and then float up into the sky so that they'll boomerang back to the right and hit the boss. This is an extremely conservative way to defeat this boss, but it definitely works. If you're looking for something faster, try inhaling 2 of these enemies and then spitting out a devastating double star at the boss. It'll only take 1 more hit after that. If you eat the Poppy Brothers Sr., you'll be able to get the Crash ability. This one is a one-time use ability, but it deals big damage to all the enemies on the screen, usually clearing them out. Eat the Hothead enemy in this area so that Kirby can gain the Fire ability, allowing him to roast some enemies, but be aware that most of Kirby's abilities won't work while he's underwater. If you eat this Waddle Doo, we'll get the Beam, which works great against the enemies on these stair-like platforms. If you need to get some health back, down here at the bottom you can grab a Maxim Tomato. If you don't have the beam to clear those blocks, you can simply inhale them to get them out of the way. We'll beam through this broom hatter, and although the beam is good here, I wanted to show that if you try to inhale this cappy enemy, you'll inhale the cap, but you won't get the whole guy, although you can just spit it out as a weapon. Up here we can grab a sword, and at the goal this time, I'm going to start a much larger trick that will take several levels to complete. We want to hit each one of those tiers in order, starting from the bottom at 7. 7 is the easiest one to hit, you just don't press any buttons, but making sure to get all those ones in the middle can be tricky. We'll see if we can do it. Here in 1-3, inhale those star blocks to drop out the Shotzo cannons. Then you won't have to deal with them at all. Over here we can inhale this Waddle Doo to get a beam weapon, and then we'll work our way to the right. The Fireball ability allows Kirby to charge forward, igniting any enemies that get in his way. It can be used in the air, and if you hit a wall, you'll bounce off of it. Whenever you use it on the ground, Kirby takes a step backwards before activating the ability, which doesn't make a huge difference, but it is a little bit weird. While I do like the Fireball ability, I think the normal fire ability may be a bit more practical, but watch out for the fish down here. If you get hit underwater like that, you won't be able to inhale the star that you lose, so you can't get any ability that you had back. Luckily, there's another hothead right here so we can just get our fire ability back, and most enemies in this game will constantly respawn, so if you lost an ability and you really need to get it back, you probably just need to do a little bit of backtracking. Here at the end, we can get a Maxim Tomato. Keep in mind that you can't drop through these platforms, you'll just do a slide if you press down and A, so you will need to clear out that enemy before you'll be able to get it. And that's it, here's the goal, and this time we're trying to reach tier 6, which we were successful in reaching. You only get 100 points for that one, but remember, we're trying to do all of the tiers in order. This may be called a museum, but it's more like the Dreamland equivalent of McDonald's. Kirby can pop in and eat whatever enemy is on display to gain its ability. This one contains a Sword Knight, which grants the sword ability, so if we ever want a sword, we can just come back to this museum. We're going to fight a mini-boss here at the beginning of stage 1-4, and this spark ability will be the perfect weapon to use. Also, if you hold up and right while Kirby's on a ladder, he'll do this. Yeah, that's pretty fun. Here's Mr. Frosty, and if you have the spark, just get close to him and hold down the B button. It's really that easy. Eat Mr. Frosty and we'll gain the freeze ability. Freeze is similar to the spark ability, except that the enemies that are hit by it are turned into ice cubes, which Kirby can push as weapons. The enemies will never unfreeze, so once they've been turned into an ice cube, they're as good as dead. The freeze ability is very powerful, and inside this tree trunk we'll find another powerful ability, Needle. If you hold down B, Kirby will turn into a puffy pincushion, and you can just keep holding it down and wait for enemies to walk into it. Most enemies will actually just wander around in this game, so they are very easy to defeat using the needle. It can even clear out blocks like the ones that were in front of that door. Over here we'll see our first glimpse of the Meta Knight, and he gives us a Hyper Candy, which makes Kirby temporarily invincible. Quickly run to the right, and when you grab this one up, you want to fly above the cannons because if you touch them while invincible, they'll slow you down. If you're fast enough, you can make it the whole way to the goal, and this time we're trying to hit Tier 5. Tier 5 is worth 300 points, and that one's not too hard to hit, but those other middle tiers are tricky, so hopefully we'll be able to do it. And through this door, it's time to face the first boss, Whispy Woods. Interestingly, if you stand up here, it seems like there's a sort of invisible platform at the top of the tree. With the needle ability, Whispy Woods doesn't stand a chance. Just get right up next to the trunk and hold down the button. It's really that simple. The sword that we can get from the museum also works. Don't worry about touching the tree trunk, it won't hurt you. And when you're attacking this rapidly, Whispy Woods will barely be able to get an attack in edgewise. As basic Kirby, get right up next to the trunk, turn to the left, and just keep inhaling until you inhale an apple, then quickly turn and spit it at the boss. Then turn back to the left and start inhaling again. Whenever the boss blows out some puffs of air, if you're close to the trunk, they'll harmlessly pass over your head. While I know that Whispy Woods did have a piece of the star rod that we needed, I'd love to know what other crimes that tree committed to deserve that kind of pummeling. That was just unfair. That guy couldn't even move. In any case, up next, cream on the inside, clean on the outside, it's Ice Cream Island. If you still have the needle ability after fighting Whispy Woods, you can use it to fend off these coconuts. Otherwise, just inhale them before walking underneath. If they drop, they'll explode. I guess they're full of gunpowder or something. Remind me not to ever do a pina colada in Dreamland. In this small room, we'll find a parasol and a pep drink which can restore up to 2 bars of health. I kinda feel like the parasol is an underrated ability. It can protect Kirby's head from falling coconuts, and it has decent range. Don't try to use it against this Scarfy though, just blow a puff of air at that guy. The parasol will get you too close when it explodes. Over here we can get the sword ability, and although it's similar to the parasol is better when you need to protect Kirby from coconuts, or whenever he is falling through the air and you want to slow his descent. Otherwise the sword is better. That walking torpedo is called a bomber, and those guys will walk off of a ledge, and when they land they'll explode. If you're too close you'll take damage, so either inhale them quickly or stay far away. Bombers can give us the same crash ability that we got from Poppy Brothers Sr. Eat this twister to get the tornado ability, and that will carry us to the goal. This time we're trying to hit tier 4, which is probably the trickiest one to hit. You need to press the button right in the middle there. Tier 4 will get us 800 points. Whenever we finish 2-1, we'll open up a new minigame. This is Egg Catcher. This is probably the most difficult of the mini-games. You need to hold the button to open Kirby's mouth, but release it whenever you see a bomb. I like to listen to the sound effects. When you hear the bomb bounce off of Kirby, that's when you want to open your mouth again. If you eat a single bomb, it immediately ends the bonus stage, so this one takes a lot of practice. You'll need a perfect score to get 3 extra lives, but you only need to get 25 eggs to get 1 extra life. So that's not quite as tough. The tornado can just blast through these enemies, and in this next area, we're going to slide into this bomb block to open the way. Eat this enemy for the needle ability, and then over here, we'll ride a warp star over to some sand dunes. There's a mini-boss on the other side of this warp star, and we'll have a choice from 3 different abilities if we need them. I recommend using Fire. Fire has very good range, and will be excellent against the Grand Wheelie. This large living tire will roll towards you, so jump over it and then whoa. Sometimes it does bounce towards you, but whenever it turns on its side like that, it was going to release an enemy, and that's the perfect time to roast it with the fire. Eat the Grand Wheelie to get the wheel ability, and then just hold down the button and press right. You'll go all the way to the end. It's really that simple. There's a pep drink up here if you need it, and this time we need to reach the 3rd tier. We need a good bit of lift to get up to tier 3, and we were able to do it for 2,000 points. I honestly think hitting tiers 2 and 1 are easier than hitting 5, 4, or 3, so we should be able to finish the trick from here. Here's another Crane Fever game. and it's a lucky one. The closer the large plush Kirby is to the left side, the easier it is to collect. We don't have to be quite as precise when it's this far to the left. If we didn't have it just perfect, we still would be able to probably get it. Now this one is on the far right, so this one will need to be perfect. If we're even a little bit off, this plush will be dropped as we carry it across to the left side. But I think that we secured it, there's no movement, and yes, we did it. We were able to get 2 large Kirbys for 4 extra lives. Nice. Next up, we have stage 2-3, and at the very beginning we'll be able to grab the parasol ability, which is going to be more useful here than the wheel we had before. So grab that parasol, and once we go through this door, you can use your parasol to hit that bomb block, or you can just slide into it. Quickly drop down that ladder and you'll be able to get a sword. Now, you'd rather just hit that top row so that you have a little bit of lift to jump up to the bomb block there. That will make it easier. And when you get into this room, we'll be able to eat a UFO. Will the UFO power make this stage a lot easier to complete? Ancient alien theorists say yes. As the UFO, lightly tap the B button to use the beam ability. If you press the button for a longer time, you'll get a laser, and if you hold it down, you can charge it up to get a star, and if you charge it longer, you'll get a double star. Use the beam to clear out the blocks up here, and you'll be able to find a hidden 1-up. Nice. And then we'll keep our UFO as we head down this way. We'll clear out another one of those bomb blocks. Look out for that Cappy. And then we'll head through this door, where we'll face the Meta Knight's crew. This is sort of like a mini-boss where we just have to clear out these enemies. With the UFO, if you stay over here on the left side, you'll be mostly safe from those enemies that spawn on the upper left platform, and we can just charge up and shoot the enemies. Clear out the ones on the upper tiers first, and then worry about the ones at the bottom. They move very quickly, so charge up a star, drop down, shoot an enemy, and then quickly go back up. As basic Kirby, we're going to just inhale these enemies and then spit them out at their allies. We'll want to do the middle and upper tiers first, so just like before, we're going to try to avoid the bottom. Don't try to use the copy ability here. You won't get any abilities from these enemies. And we're just going to eat that one, turn and spit it out at that guy, and then we'll eat the last enemy, and that's it. We're on to the last part of the stage, and there's not much more to this one. You can use your underwater spitting ability to clear out those fish so you can get the pep drink. And then over here on the right is the goal. Hitting tier 2 is pretty easy. You want to time it almost like you're trying to hit tier 1, but you're just off by a little bit. And we'll get 5,000 points for that, and we only need to hit the top tier at the end of the next stage to get the full reward. This museum gives us easy access to 2 very good abilities, so if we ever need laser or fire, we can find it there. Before we go on, let's take a look at the 2-3 shortcut. You'll need an ability that is not held in the hand, so not like a sword or a hammer. The laser will do perfectly for this. Clear out this bomb block, and then you want to get a running start by double tapping to the right, and just as Kirby's foot goes over that gap, you want to tap down and right, and if you go into the wall, you need to quickly press up to inhale, or you'll fall down to a spot where you'll get stuck. If you did it correctly, you'll be able to fly all the way over here, skipping most of the stage. Stage 2-4 is up in the clouds, and these flying enemies that you'll encounter are called Bronto Burts. They'll fly right towards Kirby, so inhale them when they get too close. In this optional room, you'll see some bounders, and if Kirby is falling and he starts to turn face down, whenever he hits an enemy in that position, he'll be able to do damage to it. So that's another way you can attack. There's a 1-up at the bottom of that room, so if you want an extra life, make sure to grab it. And over here is a Maxim tomato. Be careful not to hit the Maxim tomato with your fire. You can actually destroy it. Keep working your way to the right, and in the next room, we're going to face a mini-boss, Mr. TikTok. Now, this guy is not a social media star, so eat the rocky enemy at the top of that stair-like formation to get the stone ability. And we're going to let this guy charge at us and just fly high up into the air, and then get the drop on him with the stone. You will need to wait until he moves off of you to release the stone, but then you'll be able to fly up and hit him again. If you eat Mr. TikTok, you'll get the mic ability, and this works similarly to the crash ability that we had before, except that it doesn't deal as much damage to bosses or mini-bosses, but you do get 3 charges of it. Eat the laser ball in this small room and then shoot a beam at one of those angled surfaces to release the 1-up. The laser gives you great range on your attacks, so stay far away from enemies whenever you use it. In this room, you can really get good use out of the laser. Just keep firing it until all the enemies are gone. Then you can safely grab the pep drink, restoring 2 bars of health. From here, we are very close to the goal, so just laser anything that gets in your way. You'll see a Shotzo cannon here that shoots volleys of 3 cannonballs, so watch out for that as you pass by. Over here, we're going to beam that guy, or I guess we can just hit him with a puff of air. And here's the goal. This time we need the top tier, and we got it! Now, because we hit all 7 tiers in order, we're going to get a huge reward here. And there it is. 30 extra lives. Now, that trick takes a lot of practice, and you'll lose all your extra lives whenever you reset the game, so it might not be that practical, but it is pretty cool. Another thing that's pretty cool is if you have an ability that doesn't change other than making Kirby look orange, you can go into a stage you've already finished, press start and select at the same time, and when you exit the stage, you'll have this weird splashy ability. It doesn't really do anything, but it does look neat. And here's our first battle arena, where we can fight a mini-boss to get their ability and refill our health. The splash ability won't be too useful here, so we'll want to inhale Mr. Frosty's ice blocks and spit them back at him. Happy birthday! Mr. Frosty's freeze ability could come in handy here in stage 2-5, allowing us to turn enemies into ice blocks. Even if you lose it though, you can always grab a parasol as a backup. These Shotzo cannons fire volleys of 3 cannonballs, so watch for the 3rd cannonball and then pass by. So we'll head over here to the right. There's another one of those cannons, 1, 2, 3, and then pass by. And there is a pep drink all the way on the right here if you need it. In this next short segment, we'll encounter a bunch of wheelie enemies, and the wheel ability could be good here, so we'll try to consume them, but we ate 2 by accident, so we made a mix instead. High jump is not exactly what we were looking for, so we'll try to eat just 1 wheelie and we'll get the wheel. That'll allow us to roll past here, but if you want to get a pep drink, you can head down here to the bottom. Don't eat the naughty enemies. If you do, you'll get the sleep ability, which isn't much of an ability at all. It makes Kirby stop moving for a while, leaving him vulnerable to enemies. When you get in here, you want to head straight down to grab the pep drink, allowing you to go past those Gordos. And when you exit, you'll be back at the top, and you can just go through the door, bringing you out here. If you see a Starman flying through here, you can eat it to get the high jump ability, which is a weird one. When you press B, it will make Kirby jump with a powerful force that can damage enemies. But inside this room, we can get a more useful ability, the Fireball. The Fireball works very well here, allowing us to blaze past the enemies. You can even go through those Gordos. Now the high jump is perfect for a vertical space like this one, allowing Kirby to quickly vault up through the star blocks. Watch out for those bombers. You want to be far away from them when they explode, but you can blast through them with the high jump. Now, if you hit that Poppy brother and destroyed the Maxim tomato, don't despair. You can just go back to the left and you'll see that it's respawned. You want to inhale that guy when he's on the lower platform, and you should be able to get the tomato. Now, I'm definitely not going to attempt that 30 lives trick again because it is very difficult to do consistently, so from here on out, we'll just keep trying to hit the top tier, and we'll see how often we can do it. Clearing 2-5 unlocks a Warp Star station, which is not very exciting right now because it can only bring us back to level 1, but later in the game when we have more of these Warp Star stations unlocked, it will be very convenient to be able to jump between them. Next up we have a boss, and the fire ability that we can get here in this museum will be very useful in this next fight, so we'll bring it with us. This is the paint roller. The paint roller will skate over to a canvas and then will paint an enemy that will come to life and attack you. There are 8 different enemies that it can paint, and 6 of them can be consumed for a different ability. This one makes ball, which is not very good. The one I think that's the best is probably parasol, or the abilities that just deal damage like this one that gives you crash. Crash will deal big damage to the paint roller. Another strategy that works well is to use the laser that you can also get from the museum. The paint roller always goes to that upper right canvas first, so position yourself and attack at long range. Whenever the roller paints an enemy, you'll want to try to clear that enemy with your laser and then start attacking the boss. Try to stay away from it if it jumps towards you. And just get on the opposite side of the boss and use the laser whenever it's painting. You'll have a lot of opportunities to deal damage. As the fight progresses, the boss will hesitate for less time after painting an enemy, so you're going to have to react a bit more quickly when its health gets low. And that's it. We've defeated the paint roller with the laser, but what if you just want to use your basic Kirby abilities? As the fight begins, you'll have plenty of time to inhale an enemy and spit it back at the paint roller, but as it progresses and the boss takes more damage, you'll have to move away from the boss after eating the enemy and get into position to shoot the star. After inhaling an enemy and hitting the boss, the safest place to hang out while the boss moves to another easel is under the platform across from the boss. So you can just kind of float under there and you should be safe. Sometimes the boss will surprise you as to which easel it moves towards. It can jump to any of the 3 that it's not currently at. Kirby won't be able to fly with an enemy in its mouth, so we'll just have to wait down here on the bottom for the boss. And that's it. We were able to defeat the paint roller with our basic abilities. And with that, we'll be able to do our little dance, and we'll be on to level 3, the Butter Building. As we go from stage to stage here in level 3, we'll be climbing a massive tower and going higher and higher into the clouds. We'll start down here at the base of the tower, and in this small area we can grab a sword or a parasol, but if you go far enough to the right, you can eat a bomber enemy and get the crash ability. This is the one that will simply destroy the next mini-boss. Slide into this bomb block and then quickly slide back to the center to avoid those Rockies. And when you go through the door, if you still have your crash, Mr. TikTok won't stand a chance. Then we can eat Mr. TikTok to get the mic ability, and we know that Kirby is such a bad singer that whenever he sings into the microphone, his shrill voice explodes any enemies nearby. And this is where we'll find the first of the 17 hidden switches. There were none in the first 2 worlds, but if we go through the door down here at the bottom and break that hidden bomb block, we'll be able to hit the switch, which will unlock a battle arena. In addition to finishing the game, we need to hit all 17 switches to get a perfect 100%, and you'll need 100% if you want to unlock the extra game. So it's worth going for. And we hit the lift at just the right time, bringing us up to the top tier for a 1-up. That brings our total to 50. Nice. If you're looking at the map, there's a little dot below the number if there is a hidden switch in that stage. And here in the battle arena, we'll face a Grand Wheelie. If you need to fight a Grand Wheelie and you don't have any abilities, you need to wait for it to release a smaller wheelie, then you can inhale it and spit it back. Don't try to consume the smaller wheelie, you will not get a wheel power up for that. And once this guy is defeated, we can eat him to get the wheel power, and we'll also get a Maxim tomato. You can definitely use the wheel to roll through the first part of 3-2, but if you don't have it, you'll probably want to eat one of these hothead enemies to get the fire ability. Up above here on the left though, you'll see a Poppy Brother on top of one of those Maxim tomatoes, and if you want that tomato, I do recommend that you don't burn him with the fire, because you might burn the tomato too. Instead, inhale that enemy, and you'll be able to collect it. Whenever you come out here, you just need to keep moving to the right to rotate around the tower. When you get far enough to the right side, a door will open up and we'll be able to move on. Use your fire to burn any enemies that get in your way. In this room, you want to fly straight up the middle to avoid those Rockies, and then over here, I like to float up and bump into this enemy right above, and that will get him out of the way and bring the other Rocky down so that you can eat 2 of them and make a mix. Now, if you press down and you don't press any buttons, you'll be able to do an easy mix, and when it's 2 Rockies, it will make a UFO. Pretty good. Now, if you don't have the UFO, you could come over into this room where you can defeat the Grand Wheelie to get the wheel power up. The wheel works very well here, allowing you to quickly roll across this entire zone. So we're going to roll to the right through this Sword Knight, we'll bounce off the wall, and then just roll over here to the left, and then roll again to the right. You'll go off the ramps and you'll end up at the door. Quickly fly up and take out one of those Pengies before they can do an ice crossfire, and then we can eat the other Pengi to get the ice ability, which is kind of like fire, but it freezes stuff. If you want to get the items in here, slide into the bomb blocks and then press towards the item. You really need to commit to it. With the ice ability, you'll be able to keep a decent range while attacking this guy, but watch out for his charge attack. If he grabs you, he'll put you in a backdrop. Whenever he releases smaller enemies, you can freeze those as well, and then push the ice cubes back at the boss for more damage. And once Bugsy is defeated, we'll head to the goal, and another top tier finish. We're really feeling the rhythm of this now. We're kind of on a hot streak. Now, before we move on, there's a shortcut we can do here in stage 3-2, so let's go back in there. Another way we can get through this room is to just quickly fly up the left side, so that's something else you can try. And we haven't really used the backdrop yet, so here's how that works. You'll be able to pull enemies in, sort of like you're inhaling them, but once you grab an enemy, you'll slam it to the ground. Oh yeah, we're going Hulkamania all over these fools. And then we'll go over here to the left. Just like before, fly straight up the center of this room, and then you want to bump this needle enemy so that the second Rocky will drop down, and we're going to inhale them both at the same time so that we can mix the UFO. So press down and don't press any other buttons and you'll get the UFO. And we're going to do the permanent UFO trick. We want to get hit and press select just as we get hit, and we did it perfectly that time. In here, clear the first enemy, fly right up to about this spot, then go back down, go to the intersection of these 2 blocks, press down, and when Kirby's head touches the top of that shadow, pause, and if you did it at the right time, you'll be able to move to the right in the pause menu, which will allow you to unpause and you'll be in the wall, and then you can just fly up to the door above. It's not that easy to do, but it is a fun trick to try. Here in 3-3, a sword will certainly come in handy, so we'll inhale that Sword Knight, and then just go straight down this ladder and those enemies will miss you. Clear that Starman, fly up under this platform, and then stay on the left, and you'll be able to get right to the door. Now here, you can go onto this upper platform and just keep sliding to the right, and any enemies that get in your way will be hit by the sword. Once you get far enough to the right, you'll be able to enter the door. There are a bunch of doors here, and most of them lead to a pink room, and to get to the goal, you just need to go to the top of the pink room and take the door in the upper left corner, but if you take this door, you can find a 1-up. Hit that bomb with a puff of air and then quickly float up so you don't get hit by the spikes. Collect the 1-up and continue on. If you took some damage, go through this bomb block, and on the other side of this door is a Maxim tomato. Nice! And now we'll just head towards the goal. If you want to see where this door on the left leads, it takes you over here, but that's not where we need to go. So just go through these star blocks up above. You can inhale them to get them out of the way. And that door is the one labeled G on the map, and that will take you to the goal. Here at the goal, we'll try to press the button when the lift is at its lowest point, and we did it! We got another 1-up! This streak just keeps going on. Clearing out stage 3-3 not only opens up 3-4, but it also opens up a museum that contains a high jump power-up. So that could come in handy. We'll certainly grab it for now and take it with us into the next stage. Whenever you're using the high jump, you can cancel out of it as you're vaulting upwards, so if it looks like your jump is going to put you in a bad spot, you can get out of it. At the beginning of 3-4, we'll ride a warp star higher up towards the top of the tower, and when we go through this door, it'll be time to face the Meta Knight's crew again. Whenever these guys get close to the edge of their platforms, you can use the high jump to hop up and defeat them. Of course, if you don't have the high jump, you may just have to rely on your basic Kirby abilities, so get close enough to inhale these guys and then spit them back at their allies. Once they're all defeated, the door will open on the left side. In this small room, we can grab a sword or a parasol, and although the enemy that's carrying the parasol is a Waddle-Doo, and those normally would give us the beam ability, the type of Waddle-Doos that carry parasols are a generic enemy type. And in this room, there's a very strong updraft, so you'll want to try to grab the items as you go up, but if you release your float, you can slowly drop back downwards. And here we'll try to go for the goal again, and, well, the streak has ended. Tier 2 is still pretty good for 5,000 points, but it's not a 1-up. And up here we'll find the third and final type of minigame, Quick Draw. Now in this game, you need to wait until you see the message fire, and then you're going to press the button to quickly defeat your enemy. If you're not fast enough, you're the one that will get blasted and the minigame will end. The cactus on the left shows your reaction time, and this score of 13 or 14 that I'm getting should be good to get us through the first 4 levels here, but the 5th one against King Dedede, well, you need to be very fast for that one. So these first 4 are pretty easy, but for this one, I usually just try to go early if I don't have any fouls yet, and oh, we did it! Alright, 5! So if your reaction time is not fast enough, that's what you need to do. Just kinda guess and go early. If you get 1 foul, it does not count against you. At the beginning of stage 3-5, we can get another one of those invincible candies, and I like to go right up here, drop down, pick up the candy and quickly inflate to go back up. That'll get you in the door in the shortest amount of time, and then we can just fireball our way through to the right, and we should still have some charge of the candy when we get to this room. But it won't last very long, so probably try to grab the freeze ability and use that to clear your way to the left. On the other side of this door, once this Gordo gets out of the way, we'll face Bonkers, another mini-boss. Bonkers will charge towards you, and you want to jump over him, and right after you jump over him, he'll swing his hammer and you'll be able to get a star. Make sure he doesn't swing his hammer again, and you'll be able to spit it back at him, and then whenever he throws a coconut at you, you can spit that back at him as well. The hammer will allow you to hit the post in this room, revealing a Maxim tomato and a 1-up. And here we are at the goal again, and, well, it looks like we've gotten a little bit cold. Another Tier 2 victory with 5,000 points to show for it. Level 3 is the first world to have 6 stages in it, but all of the worlds will have 6 stages from here on out. The hammer can be used to clear out the enemies here, but the laser is where it's at in this stage. There are a ton of angled surfaces, so almost no matter where you fire the laser, it seems to always hit the enemies. You can grab a pep drink here, and then just keep heading to the right, firing lasers whenever you see those bombers. You should be able to hit them before they explode. I like to use the sword in this room, so wait for that cannon to fire 3 times, float up here, wait for the sword knight to take a swing, then drop down and inhale him. Once you have the sword, it'll be no problem to get that Maxim tomato, and then we'll just go under this Gordo, wait for the cannon to fire 3 more times, and we'll be back outside. Here we can use the fireball ability, which will make it all too easy to get around the tower. And once we're back inside, this area leads to the next hidden switch. We'll eat that sword knight, and then we want to break through these star blocks. So you can puff them, hit them with a sword, and hail them, and in this room, puff some air on that bomb block, and then quickly head to the right side. If you don't make it in time, you can always just go back outside and try again. But once you get in here, we'll be able to hit the second of our 17 hidden switches, which will open up an egg catcher. We're not quite done with this one yet. In this room, we can slash our way to the right, but you'll notice that it's very dark in here. And in these darkened rooms, you can eat this enemy, which is called a cool spook. I definitely did not make that up. And whenever you use the light ability, you only get 1 charge of it, but it will illuminate the entire room. Once the room is lit up, we can make our way to the right, or you can not light the room up, and you should be able to get through just fine. In here, we'll use the high jump to make our way to the goal, and then we'll launch ourselves to the top tier. That's right, we're back in the high life again. This extra life raises our total to 60, bringing us ever closer to the maximum of 99. Here we have another egg catcher game, and you can see there was only 1 star in the lower right corner of that description, so this is still the easiest of the 3 possible versions of this game. I've been practicing this easy version, and it's not that hard to get them all, and there you have it, another perfect score. So I guess the king was throwing fertilized eggs at us? I'm not sure if it's cute or horrifying that they're hatching out of Kirby's mouth. In any case, we got 3 more extra lives, and now it's time to head to the boss, Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright. We need to defeat 2 bosses here, but they fight us 1 at a time, tag team style. When you're fighting the sun, whose name is Mr. Bright, the moon will launch stars at you, and if you eat one of those stars, you'll get the cutter ability, which works very well against both of these bosses. Now, when you're fighting the moon, whose name is Mr. Shine, The sun will light up and it will drop some rays, and those can damage you, but where they hit the ground, stars will form, and if you eat one of those stars, you'll get the fire ability, which is another good ability against these bosses. It doesn't seem like you should be able to burn the sun, but you totally can. Now, another strategy you can use when fighting against Mr. Shine is to get close enough to where the sunshine drops that you can consume both of the stars at once. Then you want to walk away and press down and B very quickly to mix up the spark ability using a quick mix. The spark ability is amazing against these bosses. Just get close and hold down the button and you'll be able to defeat them in no time. If you bring the hammer, you will need to get close to the bosses to hit them, but you can defeat each one in just 3 swings. It's really that simple. Even with just your basic abilities, these bosses are not that tough. Against Mr. Shine, you'll want to float or jump over the cutters and watch out for a charging attack. Now, if you get just close enough so that you can inhale 1 star from the sun and then 2 at once, you can defeat the moon in a single cycle. Against Mr. Bright, you'll want to watch out for a fireball attack, as well as fire that it can launch from its hands. There are plenty of stars that are dropped by the moon, so you should have no problem finding the ammo you need to win here. And that's it. We've defeated Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright. We'll do our little Kirby dance, and we'll be on to level 4. Those guys, they weren't the actual sun and moon, right? Well, I certainly hope not, and in any case, we need to move on to Grape Garden. Keep your eyes peeled here because I don't think there's any grapes or gardens in this entire world, but let me know if I'm wrong. Here in 4-1, we appear to be in some sort of cloud castle. The spark ability works wonders here. Anytime you see an enemy, just engage the spark and take them out. Spark is just the perfect ability to use to take out enemies from below as you're working your way upwards, but if you lose it or don't have it, the beam is also a good choice. When we go through this next door, we'll find that this area is infested with aliens. Yeah, we should nuke this zone from orbit. Eat one of those UFOs to gain the ability for yourself and work your way to the right. That round green smiley face is called Bubbles. Yep, I can't make this stuff up. And if you eat that guy, you'll get the ball ability, which I don't think is great here. So I would just avoid that guy, and also avoid the naughties, because you don't want the sleep ability either. If you don't still have the UFO, eat one of these guys to get the beam, and then beam your way through the star blocks, including the suspicious ones in the upper right corner that lead to this hidden switch. That is the 3rd of the hidden switches, only 14 more to go. The tornado ability that you get from this twister enemy is perfect for this type of narrow twisting room. You probably don't want to do this, but if you tornado through a twister that's using its tornado ability, you'll pass through it, although that could certainly go awry. Here at the goal line, we'll launch ourselves up, and we easily made it this time. We'll add another 1 up to our total, bringing us up to 64. Before we go on to 4-2, we had to hit a hidden switch to unlock this crane game, so we are definitely going to play it. And it looks like the 2-up Kirby is right there in the middle. We're going to line up with the right side of that red triangle at the top of the machine, and it looks like we stopped it in the perfect spot. Nailed it. And let's see where, oh, well, okay. For this one, we don't have to be anywhere near as precise. I guess because there's a small 1-up Kirby on the far right side, the game doesn't want to drop the other plush right next to it, so that just made it very easy to get 4 extra lives. It's worth noting when you're looking at the abilities on the map here, that the ones on the left you'll find earlier in a stage, and the ones on the right you'll have to go deeper to get. I like to use the Spark ability for this part of the castle, so sorry Sparky, it looks like your dinner. Once we have the Spark ability, we can work our way down here, where if you just slide into that bomb block, you'll be able to open the way to the door. You can use Spark to take out the Poppy Brothers here, or just hit them with some puffs of air. And in this room, we're going to spark our way through. So anytime you see some blocks or enemies, you can use the Spark, but not when you're underwater. Kirby can use the spitting attack, and that's how we'll get up out of these star blocks. Over here on the right, we can Spark again to reveal a hidden door, and inside, there's a Maxim tomato. So we'll grab that to restore our health, and then we'll go up to the top right corner, where we'll find another door that leads onward. Watch out for the sloped surfaces here, you can definitely slip on them. And in here, there are some very tight spaces that you may want to try to jump through. If you wish to attempt that, you just need to do a tiny tap of the button as you're running to the right, but it is very difficult to do without getting hit, so you probably just want to skip that pep drink. Over here we can get our Spark ability back, but the needle may actually be better for the next part. Here we have 2 Poppy Brothers Sr., and you can see that the needle can actually block their bomb attacks. If you don't have the needle, or if you take a hit, you'll want to try to inhale the bombs, and you just need to get rid of one of the 2 Poppy Brothers, because once that guy goes down, you can eat him and use the crash to finish off the remaining brother. And that's it, we've reached the goal again. And barely we made it to the top tier. That's going to bring our total of lives up to 69. Nice! 69 is a good number of lives, but we can go for even more up here in this quick draw game. Now, I always just watch the word level 1, which is flashing at the top. I watch for that to change to fire, and I listen for the sound that it makes when it does. I feel like that's easier to do than trying to react to the other character, but I could be wrong. Here's level 3. The first 4 levels are almost trivial. If you're a little bit slow, you can be taken out here on level 4 by bonkers, but just look for the fire message and press the button. 13 is definitely fast enough. Okay, here's the king. We're going to try to go a little bit early, and we got a foul, but that doesn't count against us as long as we don't get a second one. And, well, this time he got us. 11. That is very fast. But for finishing the first 4 levels, we still get a 1-up. Awesome. At the beginning of 4-3, we want to eat this hothead enemy to gain the fire ability, and then burn the end of this fuse. So use the fire on the fuse, and hop into the cannon. Now, as long as you hopped into the cannon before the fuse reaches the end, you'll be launched up to this room where you can get a 1-up. Now, that was pretty easy, but there will be much more difficult cannons later on in the game. Here in stage 4-3, we're going to be navigating this fleet of zeppelins. I like to use the sword here, but you can also find a cutter or a parasol, which are viable options. In this door, which is in the middle of the fleet, if you want to get that Maxim tomato, release whatever ability you have by pressing select and inhale the tomato through the crates. Then collect the star that you released and you'll get your ability back. We're going to pass by a door here, and we don't want to go in there just yet. Instead, go all the way to the lower right corner and you'll find this door, which leads to our next hidden switch. This is the 4th hidden switch, so there's 13 more to go. If you had taken any damage before hitting one of those hidden switches, your health will be completely restored, so that's another good reason to find those. In this room we'll be in a narrow corridor, but we'll be able to grab a cutter weapon, which works quite well in here. There's also an air current that's pushing us to the right. Don't worry about touching those propeller blades, they're just a background element and won't be able to hurt you. Keep working your way to the right, we can use the crash ability to clear out these enemies, and then up on the top there's a pep drink that we can get for some energy. And then we'll head over onto this warp star, which will launch us to the next part of the stage. And we seem to have gone backwards. And from here we just need to float up to the top. If you want the laser ability, you can grab this laser ball, but there's the goal. Let's see how we do on the lift. We press the button and no, tier 2 this time. We were so close. That switch that we hit unlocked a museum, so let's check that out. Inside it's sleep and ball. I mean, are these the 2 worst abilities in the entire game? I guess there are some uses for ball, but yeah, it is not great. Well, that was disappointing. But we also opened up this arena where we can fight a Bugsy. We're not going to try to use ball against this guy, so we can press select to release it as a star, and then we can use it as ammo. Look for this guy to release some smaller bugs, and you can inhale those and spit them back at the boss. Definitely watch out for the charge attacks. If this guy gets too close to you, he will give you a backdrop. And as our reward, we'll get our own backdrop ability, as well as a Maxim Tomato. So I guess if you ever need a backdrop, that arena is where you can find one. But I don't think that's something we'll be going back for anytime soon. We can grab a parasol at the beginning of 4-4 and use it to chop our way through the Bronto birds that attack as we head to the right. The next room contains a large flock of Twizzies. These generic bird enemies usually just fly straight towards you, but some of them will drift downwards. Either way, they patrol the airspace in this room, so try to stay low as you work your way to the right. Definitely grab the wheel here, and we're just going to hold down the button and race to the bottom. You will need to change directions occasionally, and we need to stay ahead of that spark. If we get behind it, we'll fall into the water. But as long as we stay ahead, we should be able to get to the 1-up in time, and both doors down here at the bottom lead to the same place. For this next mini-boss, let's use the beam ability. This guy is the rolling turtle, and this may be the most difficult of the game's mini-bosses. If you get too close to this guy, he is going to toss you, and he'll often jump towards you or roll attack you, so watch out for both of those. You'll mostly want to stay up in the air until you see a clear opening where you can drop down and hit him with your beam, and if you don't have any abilities, you'll need to grab those smaller enemies that it releases and spit them back as stars. So just keep chipping away. Stay far away from this guy whenever you can, and if you inhale and eat him, you'll get the throw ability. Throw works sort of like backdrop, except whenever you grab an enemy, you'll be able to launch it in one direction as a double star. So whenever you throw the enemy, make sure to hold a direction, and you'll be able to clear through the star blocks here with ease. And here we are at the goal, and we missed it again. We were doing so well before, but now we got a little bit cold. We've already done the battle arena, so we're going to head over here to 4-5. And at the beginning of this stage, we'll be able to grab another one of those invincible candies, but this is a tough spot to try to quickly run to the right while you're invincible. If you can, stay on top of these posts, but don't fall in the holes. If you die here, the invincibility will not respawn, and you'll have to go without it. The first door leads to this room, which is optional, but if you're interested in getting a 1-up, work your way to the right and you can actually pass through that blue wall on the right side. Yeah, it's like an illusion or something. And down here, we need to break these blocks. The freeze is ideal for this, and it leads to this small room with a 1-up. And once you get it, you'll be taken back to the entrance, and over here, we can proceed deeper into 4-5. A broom hatter sweeps the stoop in front of this large door, and although we can grab a sword weapon there, I think we're better off without it, because it's time to face the Meta Knight's crew again, and this time there's a new enemy type in the mix. These spinning spear guys. Technically they're called Javelin Knights, but I do think that spinny spear guy is a better descriptor. This time I recommend clearing the top and bottom tiers first, and then taking on the middle tier. That will limit the number of Trident Knights that are in the mix at any one time, and that will definitely make things easier. Over here we can grab a Fireball ability, which is going to be just awesome in the next section, so just blaze your way to the right and go through this door. And in here, there are a lot of Gordos, but just wait for that one to pass by, get near the edge, and fireball across. Get to the corner, fireball across, get to the corner, fireball across, and then we'll just float up to the goal. It's really that simple. And we're going to launch up to Tier 2. Have we lost the touch? Maybe that goal game gets harder as the game goes on. It's really hard to say. And up here, we finally reached 4-6. Use a puff of air to defeat those scarfy enemies. You don't want to try to inhale those guys. They will chase you and explode. And down here, we'll do a bit of swimming. And although this seems to break the laws of physics, you can actually spit water through the floor here and clear out that sword knight. Over on the right side, we'll find this pep drink to restore some health, and then we'll go through this bomb block, grab the sword, and we'll head up to the door that is labeled A on the map. In here, it's Mr. TikTok again. The sword is not bad for fighting this guy, but we haven't talked about how to defeat this mini-boss as basic Kirby. Whenever he charges at you, you want to get away from him, and we're looking for him to spit those musical notes, which we can inhale and shoot back at the boss. There are a lot of Bronto Burts in this dark room, but the mic ability will help you get through them. We're looking for that cool spook that we can get the light ability from, and that'll shed some light on this room. Over here, in a spot that we already went past, is a hidden door, and inside is the 5th switch. You don't need to use the light ability to be able to go through that door, so if you know where it is, you can simply pass through without illuminating the room. Even if you don't use the light ability, it's not that difficult to navigate this room. You can still see the outline of the floor, so it's not like you're going to fall into this open pit. Just keep working your way to the right, and even if the lights were off, you would be able to see this door over here. That brings us back to this room, and once we break that bomb block, we'll be able to go through the door labeled E, and in here we can eat this Rocky, which we can use to break these posts. Now don't break that second post just yet. Instead, hit the one at the bottom first. If you don't hit the one at the bottom before the one in the middle, you won't get the 1-up. And here you have it, the end of stage 4-6. We can grab a high jump ability here, which will make it easy to grab the pep drink in the upper left corner. And then it's time to try the goal game again. And we did it this time! Alright, the cold streak is over. We got another one up, bringing our total to 75. Now before we go on, there is a big shortcut we can do in 4-6. You need to have a power-up that is not held in the hand like the high jump we have now, and you want to run from the right side, and just as Kirby starts crossing that gap, press down and right, and don't forget to inflate as soon as you get into the wall. If you touch the water, this will all be for nothing. If you fly over here, you'll be able to get into this door early, and that brings us practically to the end of the stage. There it is. This is the end. So that was a very big shortcut. Next up, we have another classic Kirby boss, Kracko. The game really wants you to use high jump here, so eat one of those Starman enemies, and then bounce up on the left side. It's pretty easy to bounce up over here, you won't have to move around very much. If you try to just fly straight up here, Kracko Jr. will get you, so if you want to use a weapon other than the high jump, you need to stop at each platform so that the boss thinks you're using the high jump. That actually works. Up here at the top, Kracko Jr. turns into full-on Kracko, and the fight is on. When you see that lightning attack, try to do a high jump right through the eye. If you continue it up into the air, you'll be safe and jump over him. Occasionally, Kracko will stop to release an enemy, or will fly around the room in a circular pattern. These are both great times to attack with the high jump. And now let's take a look at how to defeat Kracko just using your basic Kirby attacks. Using the high jump is way easier, but if you insist on fighting Kracko this way, make sure to only spit stars at it when it's low enough to reach. So sometimes it's just too high up in the sky and you have to wait until it dips down to do the lightning or to do the circular flying attack. So we're waiting here and there's the lightning and we can grab this guy for a second star. You also want to make sure that you fly up into the corner at the end of the lightning attack so you don't get bumped by the boss. Sometimes the boss will do multiple attack patterns without releasing an enemy, so you'll just have to be patient. If you want to get the high jump back, you can eat those enemies that the boss drops, and those will grant the ability. But it should only take one more star, and that's it. It's time for the 5 o'clock free Kracko giveaway. We'll grab our piece of the star rod and do our little dance. It's a little known fact that all of the storm clouds in Dreamland are sentient creatures, and you do not want to be around the storms after a long night of partying. New Year's Day is especially bad. Level 5 is called Yogurt Yard, and although that sounds like it should be a dairy farm, there isn't a cow in sight. This is more of a mountains and caves kind of thing. We're still in the clouds right now, connecting back to the previous world, and it's nice how the levels all flow from one to another. We go up to the top of the tower, into the clouds, and then from the clouds to the mountains. And over here, if you can stay underneath the platform, you'll be able to fly over to a door that's at the bottom. Now, you could go to that door over on the far right, that'll get you where you need to go. But if you can stay underneath here, we'll be able to get a 1-up. So carefully float over the cannon, and then drop down, and inside we'll get that extra life, and we can also grab a stone ability, which may come in handy up ahead. This part of the stage is just a big drop, so we're going to activate our stone ability to protect Kirby as he falls. So just stay solid and break through the first few rows of star blocks, but don't go below the ladder. Instead, find the hidden door over on the left, which will lead to our 6th hidden switch. This one unlocks a crane game. From the switch, we're sent forward to the next part of the stage, and in here I like to grab the freeze ability, that's a good one. But we can avoid most of the enemies from here on out. Just stay on this tier, and when you see that spot where you can jump up, hop up there, and you'll avoid all of the pengies and go straight to the goal. And here's the goal game again. And barely made it to the top tier for another 1-up. We'll do our little Kirby dance. Did you ever wonder what happens to the other 2 clone Kirbys after the dance is over? Only one Kirby comes out of the door. Is it like the Prestige? Well, in any case, we have the crane game again, and it looks like the small Kirby plush spawned on the right. So this will be a great chance to test my theory. I think we should get a very easy pattern because none of the large Kirbys should spawn too far to the right. They just don't want to be next to that smaller one. So yeah, if you see the small Kirby plush over on the far right side, that is a great opportunity to go for the big ones. It's not going to get any easier than that. 4 extra lives is going to bring our total up to 81, getting us ever closer to the maximum of 99. And now we'll head over here to the museum, and inside we could get the stone or the tornado abilities. So this is a great museum. These are 2 very helpful abilities. Stone is great for protecting Kirby or for smashing posts, and Tornado is a little bit awkward to use, but once you understand how to control it, it's one of the best abilities. We can try out the Tornado in this stage, but honestly, the sword that you can pick up at the beginning might just be better. You can't use the Tornado under the water, but you could use the sword. Well, without the sword, we'll be reliant on our water spitting attack, and then we'll puff some air on this guy, and we'll spit some water right through a fish, which doesn't seem like it should work, but it does. We can use the Tornado to kill that Bubbles. We certainly don't need the Ball ability right now, which it can provide, and in this room, just fly up to the top, puff some air at those coconuts, and you'll be able to go right over those Scarfies. We can grab a Spark ability here, which will be very useful. And we'll just spark right through this Sword Knight. Yeah, nice try, buddy. We'll head over here to the left through this door, and you just want to quickly jump over that Shotzo cannon, and that will bring you here to door C. If you don't have Spark, you can eat a Sparky right there, and we're going to use the Spark ability to go through that Flamer enemy, and then we'll pass through this door. Now, it looks like this door should take you backwards, but it actually takes you to this room where we can collect a 1-up. Sneaky. And then we'll head through here where it'll be time to fight Bonkers. We've faced Bonkers before. He'll charge at you and you want to jump over him, and he will swing the hammer releasing a star, and you can just spit that star back at him. You can also spit back the coconuts that he throws. We'll eat him for a hammer, and we'll use it to just crush through these enemies. It's hammer time. And that's going to bring us to the end of this one, but before we pass through the door to the goal, there's another hidden 1-up down here in the lower left corner. So we'll pick that up, and we'll launch Kirby up to the top tier, or I guess to tier 2. We'll grab our 5,000 points, and before we go on, there's a secret shortcut we can do here in 5-2. We don't need any specific abilities to do this trick, so we just want to work our way to the right across this section. As soon as we enter the next room, we're going to do a big jump to the right, and as soon as you see the top of Kirby's head touch the top of the door frame, that's when you want to try to pause the game, and if we do it correctly, we'll be able to control Kirby in the pause menu. It looks like this. And then you'll be able to come down here, and we've passed through the floor, which takes us over to the end of the stage. And so that's where you want to pause. We're trying to do it when an enemy below spawns in. And then we just head over to the right, you fall through the floor, unpause, and here we are at the end of the stage. That is a massive shortcut. If the trick doesn't work, you can just go back through the door and try it again, and you can keep trying it until it happens. Alright, this is still the level 1 egg catcher, so it's the exact same pattern that we've done before. Can I get a perfect score again? I feel like I've practiced this one enough that I get it about 75% of the time now. But I am not good at the higher difficulties of egg catcher. I just haven't practiced those ones enough, and level 3 is just absurd. So if you really want it, you can memorize the pattern for that minigame, but even if you do, it's not that hard to mess it up. And here at the beginning of 5-3, you just want to fly straight up the middle. None of those cannons will get you. There's a healthy updraft here that will blast Kirby to the top of this narrow vertical shaft. You won't even notice the enemies. In here we can grab a wheelie and we'll be able to wheel our way mostly across this section, but we do have to be a little bit careful towards the end. So we can roll recklessly here and eventually we'll hit a wall. And this is the part where we need to be careful. You need to cancel your wheel right here, float up onto this part, jump across, and then we can wheel over to the door. It's that simple. Now your instinct may tell you that you can wheel across those star blocks, but no, it's a trap. Instead, you just want to hop across them or float over them, and there's a hidden door at the very end. So inhale these blocks or smash them with a slide attack, and inside, we'll be able to grab this Rocky so we can smash the posts. When we smash this one on the left to get the Maxim Tomato, that one's safe, but this one, you want to smash, get the one up, and then you need to quickly cancel out of your stone, or you'll end up in a pit. We can eat a hothead up here for the fire ability, but once we get into this room, this is a spot where you really want Parasol. It's quite difficult to float between these spikes without the Parasol, and I think it's pretty cool that the developers designed a room especially for this ability. That last part at the end is tricky, but even if you get hit, there is a pep drink you can grab. And here's the goal again. Can we make it to the top this time? We barely made it to tier 2 that time. Is it getting harder or am I getting worse? It's hard to say. Yogurt Yard number 4 starts out in a cave, and there's nothing hidden to the left of the starting point. Instead, make your way to the right and eat this flamer enemy to get the fireball ability. This is going to be very handy here. You want to walk right to the edge of the spikes, jump straight up and activate fireball, let Kirby fall a little bit, and then use it again. Here you want to let him fall until he's near the spikes, and then get close to the edge and fireball over to where the 1-up is. Then we can safely fireball out to the right. We use the fireball again to cross those spikes, or you can just float over them. And that brings us to our next battle with the Meta Knight crew. You can use fireball against these guys, but you'll have to grind on each enemy for a few seconds to actually defeat it. So I think that your basic Kirby attacks may actually just be better here. Generally stay off the top tier and just try to attack those enemies from below. You'll be able to inhale them and spit stars at them from the middle tier. And that brings us out to this section that's filled with beautiful waterfalls. And let's eat this Bubbles enemy and try out the ball ability. The ball lets us go Super Mario on these enemies, allowing us to smash them with a jumping attack. But it's probably much safer to get through this segment just by floating over it. Still, the ball is kind of fun to use. There's a hidden door here, and this one's going to lead to the next hidden switch. So head through this door, and there's switch number 7, which unlocks the battle arena. There is an alternate path that we can take through this level if we don't need to get the switch, so we'll look at that in a moment. But up here, we can inhale this 1-up, and then definitely grab the spark ability, which is going to be very useful in this next room. So we're going to drop down and just keep using the spark, which will clear any enemies that get in our way. And if you stay in this lane right here, you should be able to drop all the way to the bottom. So we'll just keep on sparking as we head down, and there's the goal. Here we are at the goal again. Can we make it to the top this time? Well, almost, but not quite. Still, that was encouraging. Now, before we go on to 5-5, I had mentioned that there's an alternate way to go through this stage, so let's take a look at that now. You've seen this beginning part already, so we're just going to skip ahead to the segment with the waterfalls, because this is where the paths diverge. The first time we went through here, we used the ball, so this time around we're going to try the safer strategy of just flying over everything. It's certainly slower, but we're getting through without any danger. So just float your way across to the right side, and we're going to skip the door this time. And that's going to take us on a slightly different path. So there's the door we took to get to the hidden switch. But we're not going to take that, and we're going to just keep moving on to the right. So let's see what's beyond that door. Over here we'll find a ladder that leads to a narrow passage with some water that pushes you over this way. Quickly go through the door, and although it's hard to tell on the video here, there is a very strong current that pushes you through this room. So you don't want it to push you into a gordo, and you want to go all the way to the bottom here to make sure that you can get that pep drink as you pass through, because it can be nearly impossible to go backwards. And that door drops us off partway down the waterfall. We don't have the spark this time, but as you're falling, once Kirby starts to turn face down, he'll be able to attack the enemies that he hits. So as long as he's not face up when you hit an enemy, you'll be able to clear it. The battle arena that we unlocked has a fight against Bonkers, so this is a place where we can consistently get the hammer. If you have the sword, you could just swing it at Bonkers over and over again, and just make sure to jump over him whenever he charges at you, and you'll easily be able to defeat him and take his hammer. I like to use the hammer on the boss of Yogurt Yard, so we'll remember that arena when it comes time to fight it. In this area, if you don't have the hammer, you can use the parasol, and something I like about the parasol is you can attack enemies from underneath platforms with it. In this room, if you light the fuse, quickly grab the high jump, shoot through those blocks, and jump down onto the cannon, you can make it in time to hit this hidden switch, but it's probably easier to just clear those blocks out first. Hopefully the hothead won't walk away. So clear out all of those blocks, get rid of your power, and then eat the hothead. Light the fuse. As soon as you eat that hothead, you'll automatically breathe fire, so you can set it up so you'll light the fuse, and then you'll have plenty of time to reach the cannon, and this is the 8th hidden switch. That switch unlocks everyone's favorite quick draw game, and now we'll head back to 5-5, and the cutter weapon might work nicely here. So we can use the cutters to attack enemies from range, and you can just walk off the edge there to avoid those spikes. Get a running start first, and you'll certainly make it. And then once you get to the far right, there's a Maxim tomato underneath the door, so if you need to restore your health, grab that. And once you pass through, you'll find a warp star that will take us to the next section. I do like this warp star animation that looks like Kirby is going back through the trees in faux 3D. And in this next room, if you can eat both of these enemies at the same time with the Sword Knight going into Kirby's mouth first, and then press down and B at about the same time, you'll mix up a spark ability, which will absolutely obliterate the Fire Lion here. Now, if you eat the Fire Lion, you'll get the Fireball ability. So we'll do that, and we'll head through the door on the right. That brings us out to the other side of this castle, and once we head through this door, we'll be into the forest again, and this is just a great area to use laser. So eat that laser ball, and you'll be able to reflect your laser beams up into the trees to hit those bounders. Watch out, sometimes they'll throw little stars at you. If you do lose your laser ability, you can just try to grab the star and eat it again, or eat another laser ball. And here's the goal. Will we get it this time? Yes! Finally success. That's going to bring us up to 90 extra lives. Pretty good. Now, believe it or not, there is a shortcut that we can use to get through 5-5. And before we go in there, we're going to grab the tornado ability up here at the museum. And then we're going to go back into 5-5 so I can show you that shortcut. You do need an ability for this that is not held in the hand. I believe that it will work with the cutter, but it definitely is not going to work with the sword or the parasol that you'll find here. And you can just easily tornado through this first part. So make sure to keep your tornadoes so that you can do the trick. And we're going to ride this warp star over to that next area. In the next section, there is a castle with a red roof, and we're going to try to jump at the spot where the bottom of the roof touches the stone of the castle. And when Kirby touches that spot, press up and right to inflate. And if you do it right, you'll end up inside the red roof. Now stay in the roof and line up Kirby's mouth with the right side of it, and just float down that line and you'll end up in this wall. Now don't mess this part up. Stay at the bottom and tap A as you go across to the right. If you end up in the white part there, you'll get stuck and you'll have to either exit the level or reset. But you can see that we got through to the right side of the castle and we were able to skip the Fire Lion boss. So that is a very nice shortcut, although it is tricky to do. So there's only one more stage here in Yogurt Yard, and in this one there's another hidden switch for us to find. It looks like the game wants us to grab the wheel ability here, and that seems like it could be good. There's a Maxim tomato here if you need it, but what we actually want to do is try to inhale 2 of these wheelies at the same time. Whenever we do, we're going to press down and B at almost the same time to do a quick mix, and that will get us the hammer. Now we just need to keep the hammer. This is probably the easiest way to get a hammer in this stage. Slide through that bomb block and then run to the right. Make sure to double tap right to run and you'll be able to go over those small gaps. And then fly across the top of this area to avoid that sword knight. We do not want to lose our hammer at this point. And now we just need to be careful here. There are some more enemies. So hammer any enemies that get in your way. We are very close to the door that we are looking for. Fly over here to the right, and that's it. In this room, we can use the hammer to break those green blocks, and then we can also use it to get through these star blocks. And that will reveal a hidden door that brings us to switch number 9. We'll also get a 1-up for our troubles. Switch number 9 unlocks a warp star station, so I guess that's cool. But we do need to make sure that we're hitting all of the switches so that we can unlock the extra game. And then we'll go back through the door that we came in from, and that will bring us to the goal. It's time to launch Kirby once again, and Tier 2. Alright, we'll take our 5,000 points, and we'll head on to the boss. Well, I guess before we go on to the boss, we haven't done this quick draw minigame yet, so let's try that one first. As usual, the first 4 levels of this are pretty easy. We're still on difficulty level 1 out of 3. You'll never get to difficulty level 3 here in the main game. That's for the extra game only. And you have to be crazy fast to be able to defeat Dedede on level 3. You need to be like Quicksilver from the X-Men. Your best bet in that case is to just try to guess when he's going to go and try to press the button early. Remember, you get 1 foul that you can work with, and until you get that second foul, there's no penalty. Although the second foul does end the minigame. Oh, and we got him this time. Yeah, 10 seconds. Did it with like a fast reaction. So we got 3 extra lives. Not bad. And And now it's time for the boss, the heavy mole. The hammer works great against the heavy mole, dealing big damage, but you do need to be careful because it can smash that green material that you're standing on, and if you fall off the bottom of the screen, you can die. On the other hand, the screen is scrolling the entire time, so if you get stuck behind some of that green material, it's really nice to have the hammer to break through it. Another strategy that works well is to use the fire ability. Fire can attack at decent range, and it can also destroy those monsters that the heavy mole releases. So you want to stay away from those rollers and just keep attacking at range. And whenever the screen is scrolling upwards like that, just wait until it starts moving more slowly to get back to roasting this boss. If you just want to use Kirby's basic attacks, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Stay as far away from the boss as you can so that you'll have more opportunity to grab one of those enemies when it comes out. You'll see the boss open some flaps on the front whenever it's going to release an enemy, and there are two kinds that it can release. One of them is yellow, which you can eat for a hammer, and the other one is red. If you eat that red one, which he just spit out there, that one grants the sleep ability, which can really mess you up. You might even die. So I don't really recommend eating those unless you are confident that it was the yellow one that contains the hammer. With the heavy mole defeated, we'll do our little dance and we'll be off to level 6, the Orange Ocean. And this time the name makes sense. Do you think the ocean is actual orange juice? Or is it more like Sunny D? Well, in any case, here in stage 6-1, we start out under the water. Water is kind of Kirby's Achilles heel, so this level could be tough. Speaking of tough, in this room there is an optional mini-boss, and let me put an emphasis on optional, because this guy's about as difficult as he is unnecessary. The challenge here comes from that little strip of water at the bottom of the room. It makes it difficult to use Kirby's inhale ability, although you can use his water spitting attack, so that's what we're going to do. We'll hide in the upper left corner until the rolling turtle charges, and then whenever he's stunned for a moment, we'll drop into the water and attack with our water spit. And after enough spitting attacks, oof, we just got grabbed, that was rough. We will be able to defeat this guy, and make sure to jump out of the water so that you can eat him and get the throw ability. That is our only reward for doing that, so make sure you don't get hit by a fish as you swim around here. Otherwise you will lose the throw before you make it up out of the water, and you can use it to get this 1-up. So grab this guy, toss him to the right, and that will clear those blocks so you can get an extra life. And that was the whole point of fighting that mini-boss. In this section, we want to do a mix with a Sparky, so make sure the Sparky goes into Kirby's mouth first, and then press down to do an easy mix. So don't press any buttons and just let the roulette play out, and you'll get a hammer. Now go into this room, and you'll be able to hammer down to the door in the middle, after collecting the 1-up and the Maxim Tomato, of course. But you'll need the hammer to get through here, and that will take us to the 10th hidden switch. Every stage in the Orange Ocean has a hidden switch, so we'll need to keep our eyes open so that we can find them all. The fireball ability is nice for the remainder of this stage, so we'll eat a flamer, and then we'll use this ability to blaze our way to the right. There's a large flock of Twizzies in this section, and although they look friendly, those birds are dangerous. It's like a Hitchcock movie in here. If you lose your fireball, float slowly towards the Twizzies and hit them with a puff of air. And that'll take us all the way to the goal. If you want to grab a sword you can, but we'll just stay basic Kirby. And we'll launch up to the second tier for 5,000 points. Would you believe that there's a way to warp to the end of the game from here? Bring the stone ability to the Rolling Turtles room and smash the block under the door. You'll be floating in some water and you can use your stone ability again. Press B as you transform, and sometimes you'll be teleported to the game's ending. Pretty awesome. There's a much earlier level in the game where you can warp to the credits, so we'll look at that later on in the video. But that trick is actually very easy to set up, and if you try it enough times, you'll probably get lucky eventually and see the ending. This museum has the wheel ability, so it's nice to have easy access to that, but we're not going to want wheel here in 6-2 where we have a bunch of small platforms to navigate, so we'll just get rid of it and pick up something else. We're about to get a different ability, so we'll discard our sword, and you can see what happens if you try to inhale a Scarfy. Slide into that bomb block and keep moving to the right to get the pep drink, then go in this hidden door where you'll find a 1-up and a stone ability. Don't forget to get the stone, we're going to want that later to find this stage's hidden switch. You want to try to keep your stone ability here, but if you lose it or if you missed it earlier, it's not a total disaster. We're going to head towards the door in the middle, and there is another way to get the switch that I'll show you. So if we didn't have the stone, which we would use to smash this post, we just want to group those two Sparkies together so that we can inhale them both at once. You should remember from the previous stage that if we do an easy mix with a Sparky, we'll be able to get a hammer ability, so that's what we're trying to do. The hammer will also be able to smash that post. So once they're on the same side, inhale both of them, press down and don't press any buttons to get the hammer, and then smash that post to find switch number 11. Switch 11 opens up a battle arena, so we'll check that out in a moment. And don't forget that the switches will restore your health, so that's also nice. We don't need the hammer anymore, so we'll discard it and we'll drop down here where we can grab the high jump ability, and then we'll just blast through these enemies up to door D. There's a smorgasbord of abilities in this small room, but there's also some Scarfies. If you're using the fireball ability, it is possible to go through a Scarfy as it explodes. So be careful when you're doing that, you don't want your fireball to wear off. But down here, we can not only grab a Maxim Tomato, but there's also a UFO. Awesome! The UFO should be able to easily take us to the goal here, but if you missed the UFO or you lost it, don't despair, because the cutter is also great here. We'll turn backwards and jump over our boomeranging cutter blades to hit enemies that are farther away. And this sword knight will try to deflect our cutters, but if we just keep mashing the attack button, eventually we'll get through. After cuttering through a few more enemies and sliding through this next bomb block, it'll be time to shoot for the stars. Although it looks like we only made it to tier 2, but we're getting close to over 1,000,000 points, so maybe we'll try for that as well. The battle arena that we unlocked is a fight against the Fire Lion. This guy can jump pretty high, but he won't be able to get you all the way in the upper corner. So wait for him to do a big jump, and then quickly drop and get the star. You want to be dropping as he is dropping. If you stay down on the ground level, the lion can grab you, and then you will get straight up mauled. So you want to stay all the way at the top where you'll be safe, and eventually you'll defeat the lion, and you'll get your fireball ability, as well as a Maxim Tomato. The hidden switch is fairly well hidden here in 6-3, but we'll worry about that in a moment. First, go down this ladder if you want to get a pep drink, and then I recommend going back to the left to go back up so that you don't run into any enemies. We can grab the spark ability here, and you want to carry that all the way to the door on the right, because we're about to fight a bonkers mini-boss, and after jumping over this guy, The spark ability just obliterates him. Make sure that he doesn't swing the hammer a second time, then get in there and spark him to death. We need the hammer, so discard the spark and pick it up, and then smash this crate in the upper right corner so that we can follow this outside path that leads to an area with a Sir Kibble guarding a pep drink. But after smashing that bomb block, enter it for a hidden door and hold down as you do to get a 1-up. But don't go too far or you might drop off the bottom. In the upper right corner here, we can grab a Maxim tomato and we'll find the laser ability. And with the laser ability, we'll be able to easily ignite the cannon in this room. So you'll shoot off that reflector and then jump into the cannon. But even if you don't have the laser, there is another way. Eat this hothead and drop into the water while he's still in Kirby's mouth. Go to this spot, press down, and then quickly swim to the left. Kirby will still breathe fire whenever he attains the fire ability, and that will light the fuse, leading us up to switch number 12. The door we're looking for here is that one in the sail, but if you head over here to the left and enter this small window, you'll be able to get a 1-up in this room, and then enter the next window to find another 1-up. Pretty good. That first 1-up brought our total up to 99, and although we collected another 1-up after that, if we were to die, our total would be decreased to 98, so any 1-ups collected from here on out are not going to be counted. That doesn't mean we're not going to try to get more of them though, just for fun. In this room, float up the left side and then head over to the upper right corner where you'll find a warp star that takes us over to a small island. We are very close to the goal now. We can hit the Scarfies that pop up in this area with a puff of air. Just make sure that you're far enough away so that they don't explode on you. And the other enemies can be defeated with puffs of air or by inhaling them. Take out these coconuts before they drop on you, and there's the goal. Although we have the maximum number of lives, we're still going to try to hit the top tier. Although if we hit the second tier and get 5,000 points, I'm not going to be disappointed anymore. Below 6-3 is another crane game, and it's still the 1-star difficulty, and would you believe the small Kirby plush spawned on the right side again? That's going to give us a very easy path to getting 2 of these big ones. And I'd love to know what the odds of that happening so many times in a row are. It has to be astronomically slim. You might say that we don't need the extra lives, but it's hard to pass them up when they're this easy to attain. And there it is. 4 more extra lives. The Dreamland crane game operators are gonna go broke. Before we go on to 6-4, if we bring the beam weapon with us, we'll be able to get some hidden 1-ups. And there are many places where you can grab the beam weapon, but probably the easiest place to get it is in the very first stage of the game. There's a beam enemy right at the beginning. So we'll use the Warp Star Station to quickly head back to Vegetable Valley. And there's the beam guy we were looking for. Delicious. We'll exit the stage and then we'll head back to the Orange Ocean. So we'll just skip ahead to that. And we will take that beam into 6-4. If you brought the beam with you, be careful not to lose it. There's some exploding coconuts at the beginning, but you can just run right past those. There's an upper and a lower path here, so you can see where the lower path is. And if you head up this way, we'll just beam our way through these enemies, being careful not to lose the ability. And then we'll break this star block, and this is where the 2 paths converge. Through this door, we can break this bomb block, and you don't need the beam to be able to get that 1-up. You just need to break that bomb block to release it. Over here on the right side is a Shotzo cannon guarding a pep drink. Maybe it's a little bit risky to try to grab that while we're protecting our beam weapon, but I'll show you the 1-ups we're trying to get. It's those ones. So to get those 1-ups, you want to carefully avoid those broom hatters and drop down in the middle here. We can use the beam to break that bomb block, and then we'll collect 3 extra lives. Pretty sweet. You could also get those 1-ups using the UFO if you could perfectly time a mix with 2 of the enemies in the first section. And we'll head down this way, and we lost our beam weapon, but we don't need it anymore. And there's a Sir Kibble we can eat to get a cutter. Here's the 1-up that we released earlier, so we'll grab that. And then we're going to swim over to the right, avoiding this Gordo, go under it as it's going up. And watch for that one to go under you and then head to the right. And we'll cut her through this broom hatter, and there's a suspicious little nook over here. Press up when you're in it, and that's where we'll find switch number 13 that unlocks an egg catcher game. After hitting the switch, we're going to avoid that rickety ladder and just fly up here. We'll take out this sword knight and then grab the pep drink. And at the top of this ladder, there's a bomber that's tricky to avoid. Stay in the far right corner there, and we're going to slide through this bomb block, but don't go too far to the right or that bomber will respawn. Up here we'll be able to grab a beam. The beam is a reasonable option, but I think the parasol is just the perfect weapon for this next section. Using the parasol, we'll be able to float up and it can block some of these coconuts. Once you get rid of that coconut, stay right on this line and you'll be able to fly to the top with no problem. With the parasol, we can just casually stroll to the right, letting the coconuts fall onto the parasol and striking any twizzy birds that get in the way. And there's the goal. Let's see how high we go this time. And we did it! We reached the top again! Awesome! It has been a little while since we reached the top tier, so we'll take our superficial 1-up, and then we'll head back into 6-4 so that we can try for the shortcut. To do the shortcut, we need an ability that's not held in the hand, and Ball actually qualifies for this. So here's a good use for the Ball ability. Carefully work your way down through here, trying not to lose the ball. And that's the lower path. We took the upper path previously, and with a puff of air we'll be able to get through that bomb block. And then we want to clear out these broom hatters, because this is where we're going to do the trick. Double tap right to run towards this gap and press down and right just as Kirby reaches it. If you do it correctly, you'll enter this wall and you want to quickly inflate so that you don't fall too far. Then just stay in the wall and head over here to the right. This is a big shortcut. I'm not exactly sure why it doesn't work when you're basic Kirby, but I can promise you, if you do not have an ability that isn't held in the hand, something like the ball or the tornado or stone, then you will not be able to clip into the wall there. Oh no, 2-star egg catcher. This is gonna be fast. And the eggs are coming, we're doing okay so far. But okay, here they come, fast and furious now. We certainly missed some eggs and... okay, 25. 25 is the minimum that we could have collected to still get a 1-up. And at a 2-star difficulty, I consider that a win. We also didn't eat a bomb, which is good, because we definitely didn't want to explode all those little chickens. Yeah, the stakes of that minigame were higher than you thought. In any case, grab the freeze ability or the ice ability and then head through this door, and we can just freeze our way to the top here, or you can just fly up the left side, but you'll want to use an air puff on any laser balls that get in your way. Then head over to the upper right corner, watch out for this bomber, and there's a Maxim tomato up here that we can get to restore our health. And then, yeah, I don't think so, laser ball. Before it could get off a shot, we hit him with the crash ability. down here, puff on that Scarfy far enough away so that you don't get hit by the explosion. And whenever you break that bomb block, all of those sword knights will be drowned in the water. Up here, we'll puff on this guy to get him out of the way, and then we'll head through the door. We'll need the fire ability here to ignite the fuse on a cannon, but first, carefully go to the right and break this bomb block as well as the next one at the top of this hill. You want this to already be cleared out before you get up there. Then drop down to the bottom. There's a 1-up over here on the left. Watch out for the enemies, sometimes they drop down into here. And then we're going to inflate, quickly light the fuse, get up to the top, jump over 2 enemies as you head to the right, and then drop down this vertical shaft. And if you did it fast enough, you'll be launched up here where we'll find switch number 14. Switch number 14 unlocks a quick draw game, and once we've hit it, we'll head back through the door, and there's the goal. We'll press A to launch Kirby, and barely made it to the top. But that's 2 in a row. We're doing quite well all of a sudden. There's only one more stage here in the Orange Ocean, but we hit a hidden switch to unlock this quick draw game, so let's try it. This is 2-star difficulty, so we're going to need to be a little bit faster this time. The first few rounds are still pretty easy on 2-star difficulty, so we don't have to worry about the first 3, but the 4th one maybe could get us. Of course, we can lose in any of these rounds if we just aren't paying attention, so make sure that you're locked in. And here's Bonkers. I think we need 13 or 14 to be fast enough here. Alright, 13 did it. And finally, King Dedede. We're going to need to be very fast here. 10. Yeah, couldn't quite do 10, but we still scored a 1-up. We probably just need to try to go a little bit early and hope to get lucky to win that one. And let's move on to stage 6-6. It seems to have gotten very cold in this section of the ocean. We can grab the beam weapon here at the beginning and clear out these sparkies, and you'll notice that there may be something down below here, but we're not going to go down there yet. Instead, we'll discard the spark and enter this igloo, where we'll be able to get the UFO. Once you have the UFO, go back through the door, don't get hit by the sword knight, and fly down here. We need to charge up completely so that we can launch a double star through that block. And there is switch number 15, which unlocks the warp star station. There's only 2 hidden switches left in the game. And that's the last switch that we'll find in the Orange Ocean. Back in this room, it's like Area 51 in here. Keep charging up your Star Blaster, and whenever any UFOs get in your way, let them have it. If you lose your UFO, there are plenty of them in here, so just grab another. Down below, don't get hit by that Scarfy, and you'll be able to get a Maxim Tomato. And then we'll head over here to the right. There are 2 paths we can take here. I recommend taking the upper one, but we will look at them both. Here we have the Poppy Brothers Sr. We'll charge up our Star Blaster, and we can hit 2 of them at once when it's fully charged. Now we'll head through this room, and we can discard the UFO. We won't be able to keep it after the goal anyways, but we'll be able to run here with our hyper ability. And you just want to keep running to the right, don't worry about any enemies, and when you get to the end you'll notice that there's a 1-up. But how do we get it? Well, you just need to inhale 2 enemies at once. Any 2 enemies will do. It doesn't matter if they are ability enemies. Even generic ones will work. Carefully aim your double star attack, and if you clear out that row in the middle, you'll be able to get the 1-up. So that's how to get that one. Head through that igloo, and it'll be time to face the Meta Knight's crew for the last time in this game. For this final battle with the Meta crew, I recommend getting rid of the bottom and middle tier enemies first, and then working on the top tier. So just inhale the enemies, spit them out at other ones, and the ones that are most dangerous are the Trident Knights, so watch out for those guys, but the rest of them aren't too tough. And once we eat this guy, the door will open up to the goal, and that's it for the meta crew. We'll launch ourselves up to the top tier again. 3 in a row, looking good. The boss is up next, but before we go on to that, there was another path in 6-6 that we didn't take. So we'll head in here, and we're just going to go to that spot where the paths split before. And this time, whenever we go into this first igloo, you'll notice that there aren't any UFOs anymore. They just don't respawn. They operate more like items than enemies. So this time we'll clear through the Scarfies. It's very different without all those extraterrestrials around. And once we make it over to the right, we'll find the branching paths, and this time we're going to take the lower one. Instead of the Poppy Brothers, in here we have 2 Mr. Frosties. So I like to focus on one of the Mr. Frosties so that we can get the freeze ability, and surprisingly, you can even freeze the ice blocks that this guy sends at you, and you can send them back at the other Mr. Frosty. Now, I'm not sure how that makes sense, that you can refreeze an ice cube, but that's just how it works. And in this room, if you just float at the top across to the right, you should be safe from almost all of the enemies. So just work your way across, and if you want a sword at the end, you can grab it, but we may want to save the freeze. And that brings you to where the 2 paths converge, and from here, it's time to face the boss of the Orange Ocean, the Meta Knight. You have to grab the sword for this duel to begin, and you can hit the Meta Knight when he jumps off of his perch, but that's tricky to do. The best time to hit this guy is when he jumps into the air and dives down. He'll be stunned after he does that, and you'll be able to get in at least 1 or 2 free hits. This guy moves erratically and will block your attacks. Try to get behind him and attack his back, but even that isn't foolproof. Whenever he's defeated, his mask is broken, and he appears to be another Dreamlander, similar to Kirby. With the Meta Knight defeated, we'll be on to level 7, Rainbow Resort. Wait a minute, Rainbow? It all makes sense now. If you look at the first letter of all of the levels going backwards, they spell out Roy G. Biv, which is the mnemonic that people used to use to remember the colors of the spectrum, back when people recognized indigo as a color. So that explains why some of those level names didn't make a lot of sense. Here in 7-1, use your laser beam to reflect off of the walls, and you'll be able to clear out the enemies and also snag a 1-up. There are a lot of star blocks here, but after we slide through the first few, we can grab this spark ability, which will allow us to destroy them en masse. So we'll spark our way to the right. We'll also fry that Bronto Burt whenever we get close enough to him. And we can grab a pep drink up and to the left. Now you'll notice that there is a Waddle Doo down at the bottom that can provide us the beam ability. And it seems that some of these blue blocks are not as solid as they appear. So break through those and grab that beam. In the upper right corner of this section is the door that leads to the game's next to last hidden switch. So you want to slide under that top row of star blocks and use the beam to clear them out so that there's at least 1 left to stand on. That'll make it a little bit easier to use the beam to clear the blocks up until you get to those last 2. For those, we'll want the fireball. So eat that flamer, head back down here, watch out for those enemies, and then float up to this ledge where we'll be able to easily burn through. And now there's only one hidden switch left. That switch reveals a crane game, and you can just slide through the blocks below you. Let's eat this pengy so that we can get the ice ability, which even works on these chilies. Cold enough for you? Using the ice, we can freeze any enemies in our path, and then just push them out of the way. And there's the goal. That brings us to the end of 7-1, and we only hit the second tier here, but we are getting very close to that 1 million point threshold. There is another trickier way to get to that hidden switch. In the first part of the stage, grab the laser because we need to have an ability that's not held in the hand, and then clear out these star blocks so that there's only a single gap. Get a running start, and as soon as you go over the gap, press down and right, and if you get into the wall, press up to inflate. Now we're going to carefully fly through the wall, and we can go all the way to the door in the upper right corner, and that's another way you can get to the switch. Just above stage 7-1 is the crane game that we unlocked, and it's the 2-star crane game. And they put the big Kirby plush on the far right. Let's just try to get this smaller one so that we at least get 1 extra life. That one was very easy to grab. Now we'll try for the more difficult one. You'll notice that the crane moves much more quickly here on the 2-star difficulty, but I think we may have lined it up perfectly between those 2 flashing lights. And yes, we were able to get at least 1 of the large Kirby plushes. So 3 extra lives, that's as good as it gets for the other mini games. So I'd say that's pretty good here. Stage 7-2 is a little bit different. This is the mini boss gauntlet. We'll start down here on the bottom floor of a large tower, and we'll have to face a Poppy Brothers Senior. So inhale the bombs and spit them back out at the Poppy Brother, and then we'll be able to grab the crash ability, which will just obliterate Mr. TikTok up here in the next room. Poor old Mr. TikTok. He never stood a chance. Then, we'll eat Mr. TikTok to get the mic ability, and it only takes 2 charges of the mic to destroy Mr. Frosty here. Make sure that he's not in front of the door when he dies. And then we'll go through this door, still with a charge of the mic remaining, and we can use it here on Bonkers. Now we'll only need to hit him twice. Jump over him when he charges, grabs that star, and then we'll inhale the coconut and spit it back, and we will take his hammer. We won't be fighting all of the different mini bosses here. There's no grand wheelie, but there is the rolling turtle, and the hammer is pretty good against him. Just be careful that he doesn't grab you. It takes 3 good strikes with the hammer to defeat this mini boss. If you stay high up in the air, he won't be able to get you, so you can just wait for him to hit the wall, and he'll be stunned for a moment, and that's a great time to strike. Then we can eat the rolling turtle to get the throw ability, and it's time to fight Bugsy. Try flying high up on the screen to avoid Bugsy, and we're waiting for him to spawn some smaller insects, which we can inhale with the throw ability, and then it turns them into double stars whenever we send them back. So throw will deal big damage here. Here's those insects again, and there's a second throw. We don't really want the backdrop, so we'll just toss Bugsy's corpse. And we'll head up here, where it's time to face the last boss of the tower, the Fire Lion. The Fire Lion won't be able to get you in that upper corner, and you're just waiting for him to do a big jump. Whenever you see it, you want to drop down, quickly grab the star, and throw it at him. And that hit him so hard that he exploded. So we'll float up here. Don't fall off the left or right side, you could die. But we'll grab this warp star that will pretty much bring us to the goal. Here at the end, you'll be able to refill your health with a Maxim tomato, and you can also grab a sword if you want it. But there's the goal door, and let's launch up to the top. Well, we hit the second tier again, and that's just raising our score even higher. We're not done with 7-2 just yet. If you were looking at the map, you may have noticed that there's a hidden door here at the beginning that takes us on the shortcut route. Well, I'm not sure if it's actually a shortcut or if this is just a different room and a different boss, because you'll notice that they are different colors. So I think that the mini bosses here are a little bit more challenging, but you're going to just skip past the first few. This red rolling turtle seems to move very fast, and if you hit it with a star as it's charging towards you, it's possible to hit it at just the right time so that you won't take damage. If you're using your basic Kirby abilities, try to avoid this guy, look for him to throw a smaller enemy at you, grab it, and send it back. And now we have the throw ability, which we can use on this gray Bugsy. We can still hide at the top of the screen against gray Bugsy, that's no problem at all. And there are those smaller insects, 1, 2, but we didn't quite take him out with the second one. So we'll just have to hit him again, I guess. And we'll toss that Bugsy out of the way, and we'll head up to the Fire Lion. This Fire Lion is blue in a orangish red room. And we'll use the throw ability again, hiding up at the top of the screen until he drops and sends out a star. And that's it. We'll just slam the Fire Lion's corpse, and this time we'll get 5 extra lives. So not only is that a shortcut, but you also get a bunch of 1-ups. That's probably the better way to go. The other way probably is a little bit easier, despite being longer overall, so I guess either way that you go, both of them are good. And that brings us to the goal again. We'll toss this guy and exit the stage, because it's time to move on to 7-3. There are just a ton of naughties here at the beginning of 7-3. And you don't want to eat these guys, we don't need the sleep ability. But depending on where you are when you get it, it's not a complete disaster. We'll just have to sleep this one off. But you don't get anything for using the sleep, you don't even gain any health from that. Now, if you mix 2 naughties together and you press down and B at almost the same time, you can do a quick mix to get the needle ability, and that actually is useful. Be careful not to clip into the wall on the left or right side of this vertical area because you could get stuck in there, so I mostly just stay in the middle to be extra safe. Watch out for those Sir Kibbles. You can easily clear them using your needle ability, and the Bronto Burts too. Up here there's a broom hatter guarding the door, but we'll grab that Maxim tomato on the left first, and with a puff of air, the way is clear. And this is my favorite invincibility run in the game. If you just run to the right, you'll go right over the gaps, even the larger ones here. If you ran fast enough, you'll be able to carry your invincibility through most of this room, and that's going to take us almost all the way to the end of the stage. And that's it, there's the goal line. Well, we got hit, but let's see what fabulous prize we're able to win this time. It's 5,000 points, bringing us up to over 990,000 points. Pretty good. 7-4 is next, and this is a slightly different type of gauntlet. Instead of fighting mini-bosses, we'll be fighting standard enemies. So you'll see what I mean here in a moment. You can grab the ball ability at the beginning, and there's also a number of other choices. Laser, tornado, cutter, sword, and I guess sleep if you really want to count that one. We'll grab the tornado, and we'll use it to clear a path to the right. Through this door, we're going to enter a series of small rooms that all have 4 enemies in them. And we'll start out with these bubbles, which we can get through with the tornado. And here we have a bunch of bounders. Bounders are kind of dangerous, so we'll be happy to tornado through them. Well, that guy hit us with a small star, but we were able to get the tornado back. The Bronto birds are not too bad here in this confined space. You can spit one of those star blocks back out at it. And once we get into the next room, there are 4 flamers in there, but this is a good enemy to eat to get an ability, Fireball. So we'll crash through these blocks with a slide and then Fireball to the left. And that brings us here, which is almost to the goal. We want to smash this bomb block and then eat that Sparky. So we wanted to make sure that that other star dissipated first. If you eat an enemy and a star that represents an ability that you previously had, it won't do a true mix. Instead, it will just give you the previous ability that you had before. And you'll see that you want to slide through that last bomb block, and that brings us here to the goal. And we did it! We passed 1 million points, and not only that, we got up to the top tier of the goal bonus. Awesome! So there's only 2 stages left in the game. We have the maximum of 99 lives, and we broke 1 million points. Things are looking good. At the beginning of 7-5, wait on the left for that first bomber to explode, and then run to the right under the next 3, and then wait for the 4th, eat that one, and then hurry over to the door. That should keep you safe. If you've eaten one of those bombers, you'll be able to use Crash here to quickly clear out that grand wheelie, but we don't actually need the wheel ability here. That would not be great. The black areas in this section have some insane gravity. Some of it sends you up, and some of it sends you down. So this one is pushing down, and we want to get the Fireball ability. That's going to be helpful here, and this gravity pushes up. And then here you want to lure this flamer away from that wall. So get close enough so that it turns into a fireball. And then we can flame our way to the right. So we'll do the same thing here. Just get close enough. You're gotta hold up because of the gravity there. But we'll be able to get that guy off of his post. And then we'll just flame through here. And that will bring us to the end of that section. In the last part of the stage, there's a cannon, so we'll eat this hothead to get the fire ability. We'll shoot that laser guy with the fire and this flamer, and we can grab a pep drink to get a little bit of health back. But you want to stand far on the left edge of this platform, so with Kirby's leg sticking over the edge, and you want to slide twice over the top and right platform, and then do a little jump to get into the cannon. If you're fast enough, you'll be able to get 5 extra lives. And that brings us to the goal. We'll launch up to the second tier, and we'll add 5,000 more points to our score. Okay, this is it, 7-6. And while the last level in most video games is very intense, this one is a lot of fun. It's the classic Kirby experience. This stage is presented almost completely in black and white, harkening back to the old days on the Game Boy. It looks pretty cool with pink Kirby just standing out against that background. You won't find very many enemies in here that you can eat for an ability, so you're going to just have to rely on your basic Kirby abilities unless you brought something with you into this stage. This wooded area reminds of the classic Green Greens, and once we go through this door, we'll see another section that looks like Castle Low. So we're basically taking an abbreviated tour through the entire original game. And it's pretty awesome that they were able to capture that in a single level here in Kirby's Adventure. I mean, the original game is kind of short, but yeah, they really managed to get almost all of the details in here. So just keep heading to the right, inhaling enemies and sending them back at others. Watch out for those guys that pop out from the background. And over here, there's going to be a few of those coconuts, so take them out with a puff of air or inhale them instead of just walking underneath. You don't want them to explode on you. And this room looks very familiar for veterans of the Game Boy game. Make that coconut move, and then you'll be able to safely fly up here. And we know that there's nothing over here to the right. Instead, we have to go down below, watch out for that Gordo, use a puff of air to get through that line of star blocks, and we'll be able to grab a Maxim tomato before heading through the door. This section is a tribute to the bubble clouds, and as you may expect, there are quite a few Scarfies in here. Puff some air at them and make sure you stay far enough away so that you don't get hit by the explosion. And then we'll just head down here through this door, which will bring us to the final part of the stage. So don't drop off the lower right corner, you could die down there. Instead, head up here and press through these star blocks, and we're going to just float up to the top. At the very top of this area, you'll see the goal, but before we go in there, there's a hidden door underneath the moon. So that's another callback to the original game. So we'll go through this hidden door, and when we drop down to the bottom, we'll find the final switch, number 17. All we need to do now is beat the game and we'll have our 100%. And here is our last bonus. And for the last one, we reached the top tier. That's a pretty good way to end it. That hidden switch that we found opened up the final Warp Star station, so we can pop in there for just a second and be able to see what it looks like with all of the different levels represented. But the next thing we need to do is take on King Dedede. We picked up the cutter at the end of the last level, and that was intentional because the cutter is one of the best weapons to use against this boss. The most devastating attack that this guy does is his inhalation attack, which has very strong range and can pull Kirby in. With the cutter, you'll be able to stand far enough away that he won't be able to suck you in. Another attack that Dedede will use is he will inflate himself and float around the room, but if you hit him with the cutter, that will disrupt this attack and he won't be able to fly around anymore. Also, when he grabs his hammer and tries to swing it, you can disrupt that attack with your cutters as well. The king will sometimes jump into the air. You'll want to watch out for that. And I would say that his sneakiest attack is sometimes he will charge at you and then slide. Whenever you see that, this is it right here. You want to jump and actually inflate yourself a little bit to make sure that you get over him. And oh, we lost the cutter, we were doing so well. But it's only going to take one more hit at this point, and the king is dead. Something else that you may want to try, and this is something you could do on pretty much any of the bosses, is bring the Crash ability with you. Crash only gives you one charge, but it deals big damage, so that'll give you a great head start against the king. If you're just using your basic Kirby attacks, there are two attacks that the king does that we are looking for that generate stars. One is this big jump, and if you're close enough to him when he lands it, you can actually get both stars and hit him with a devastating double star attack. The other one is anytime you see him grab his hammer, when he swings the hammer, that will also generate a star. So you just want to stay as far away from this guy as you can when he doesn't have the hammer or when he's not doing a big jump. You don't need to be close to him for him to do the jump, you just want to be near him whenever he lands it. When he inflates himself like this, just keep running back and forth underneath the king, and there's the hammer. Make sure he doesn't swing the hammer a second time before you spit the star back out at him, and it shouldn't take too many more hits at this point. Just one more should do it. There's the slide attack, you want to be flying over him to avoid it, and here's the hammer. And that's it. That's how you defeat Dedede with your basic Kirby abilities. But King Dedede is not the final boss. After he is defeated, we head on to level 8, the Fountain of Dreams. Kirby has the completed Star Rod now and charges towards the fountain. King Dedede pleads with him to not return the Star Rod to the fountain, and when he does, a mysterious orb emerges from it. Dedede only broke up the Star Rod to protect the people of Dreamland from that thing. And once it flies up into the sky, the king inhales Kirby and launches him up into the night sky. This boss appears to be some sort of alien spacecraft, and I guess we should have seen the signs. There were UFOs all over the place in this game. Stay on the left side so that you'll have more time to react to the Power Orb's attacks, and keep rapidly attacking with your Star Rod. When it does this attack, on the 5th one it's going to attack in the middle, so count to 5, and on that 5th attack move out of the middle, and you should be safe from all of them. When you see the boss rear back like that, stay in the middle of the back of the screen until it starts charging, then move out of the way. As it moves back to the right side of the screen, you'll have a chance to score a few more hits. This next attack is difficult to avoid, but if you can get to the upper right corner fast enough, you can get away from it. We don't have unlimited time to fight this boss. If we're not fast enough, we'll eventually crash into the ground, so make sure you're rapidly attacking with the Star Rod. And this guy always does the same exact pattern, so even if you die a few times, once you've fought the boss once or twice, you should be able to anticipate its attacks. As it turns out, it wasn't aliens at all. A nightmare had infected the Dream Spring. So take that, Giorgio Zavlakis. This is the final battle, and we still have the Star Rod, but we're not automatically flying this time. At the beginning, you want to fly up to the top near the boss, watch for him to open his cloak, drop down and start swinging the Star Rod, and you'll be able to get your first hit in. Now you want to follow underneath the boss, so just try to stay under him when he walks around, so that whenever he opens his cloak up, you'll be in position to hit him. So stay under the boss, and you can actually hit him from behind whenever he's about to do that attack. When he does this, you don't even have to actually duck, just stay on the bottom and you won't get hit. And we missed him there, but you can hit him when he opens up the cloak to shoot the stars at you. And we're just trying to stay under the boss. And here he's opened the cloak again. You do need to jump to hit him when he does that, but just do a small jump. Don't have to duck, just stay on the ground and you'll get past that attack without ever getting hit. And stay under the boss. Here he's opened the cloak, and even if you're a little bit late, just jump straight up underneath him and attack, and you'll still be able to get a hit in. There's one attack this guy does that we haven't seen yet, and he does it near the end of the battle, where he will fly up into the air and flip upside down, and I think this is going to be it here. You want to jump and use your Star Rod at just the right time in the air, and although we missed it, it is possible to hit him there. But that's alright. Jump up and hit him when he's about to throw a star there. Wait down on the bottom for him to complete that circle, and just stay under the boss so that you can jump and attack when he opens that cloak. And here comes the upside down attack, and this time we got it. And that's it. We've done it. We've beaten Kirby's adventure. But hold on, we can't sit back, relax, and enjoy the cheesy ending just yet. We still need to talk about the extra game. So we are going to skip the ending right now, but when you get to the last screen of the ending and press a button, if you had 100%, you'll see this next message about the extra game. And if you don't see that, that means you missed one of the hidden switches, but you can just go back into your saved game, look for a door that is brown. All the doors turn white whenever you found all the hidden switches. And once you find it, you'll be able to get that last switch, and it will automatically unlock the extra game. The extra game is this game's hard mode, and in this one you only have 3 bars of health instead of 6. Pep drinks only give you back 1 bar of health instead of 2, and all of the mini games are cranked up to 3-star difficulty, but otherwise it's just the same game. So all of the strategies in this video will be more than enough to get you through. You can't save the game in this mode, but you can still continue as many times as you need to, and whenever you beat the extra game, even if you didn't get all of the hidden switches, it will unlock this sound test. This sound test will allow you to listen to all of the game's music tracks, and you can also play around with the sound effects. So that's a nice little reward for completing hard mode. Now let's talk about how to beat this game in under 1 minute. It's possible to do a credits warp in the very first level of the game. So we want to combine 2 of these Waddle Doo enemies, the ones that give you the beam ability. Whenever we do, we'll be able to do a quick mix by pressing down and B at almost the same time, and that's going to give us the stone ability. We'll need to keep the stone ability until we get later in the stage, so just hurry to the right once you have it. There are other ways to mix up a stone ability, but that's going to be the easiest. So head through this door. You don't want to get hit in this section, so just hurry across to the right. The credits warp is going to be done in the 3rd section of 1-1. So we want to go through this door, and this is the section that we're looking for. In here we'll find a small pool with a Maxim tomato in it. That's what we're looking for. And there it is. We want to go to the left of that pool and clear out the enemies. Then we're going to double tap right and run towards that little hill. And when you're going up the hill, lightly tap the A button a couple times to do small hops. If you do one near the top, quickly tap back to the left and you can fall through the ground. Make sure to press up as soon as you fall through so you don't get stuck, and then turn left when you're right near the line of the water there. Deflate, drop into the water, move a little bit to the right, press B to use your stone, and then start rapidly pressing start, and if you're lucky, you'll warp all the way to the credits. It's tricky to do, and sometimes it just crashes the game, but it does work. Now there's only one thing left that we haven't done, the boss rush mode. In this mode, we'll need to fight all of the bosses with just 1 life and no health refills. This is difficult, but there is a trick we can use to make it a lot easier. First things first, we need to defeat Whispy Woods without taking any hits. That's going to make the rest of this run a lot easier. So just stay close to the trunk, inhale the apples, and send them back at the boss. The tricky part comes when we fight the paint roller. When we're fighting the paint roller, we need to work its health down so that it's right about even with the 3rd bar in Kirby's health. You can use any method to do this. I'll grab this parasol. I like the parasol a lot against the paint roller because when this guy's on the upper tiers, you can attack it from below just by floating underneath it and hitting it with the parasol part. So you can actually deal damage this way, and you won't be hit by the boss while you're doing it. So we need to deal a little bit more damage to the boss, and I think that's enough right there. Now we need to wait for it to paint the mic ability, and well, right on cue. Get the mic and use the first 2 charges, and then you need to go to this spot right here on the screen and use the 3rd one. If you did it in the right spot, you'll grab the star rod just as the boss is defeated, and when we go on to the 3rd boss, we still have the microphone, and not only that, we have just a ton of charges that we can use. The game did some sort of number underflow there, and now we have over 200 charges of the mic. It does make some graphical glitches when you use it here, and I'm not exactly sure why, but it certainly makes Mr. Bright and Mr. Shine just all too easy to beat. But we're not done yet. We still get to keep the mic for Kracko. Now, in this beginning part, you want to float up and stop on each of these cloud platforms. If you don't do that, Kracko Jr. will attack you, but if you do stop on each platform, the game seems to think that you're using the high jump ability, so it doesn't bother you. And when you get about here, Kracko Jr. will start to fly up to the top, and now we can just fly all the way up to the actual boss. We're just going to mash the attack button, and Kracko does not stand a chance. If you're mashing it fast enough, his lightning attack will miss you as he passes by. So we'll just keep using it, and he's coming around in a circle, but it doesn't matter because the microphone is just messing this guy up. It's really messing up the graphics too. And now we'll grab that piece of the star rod, and we'll be on to the heavy mole. And how will we beat the heavy mole, you may ask? I think you already know the answer. We're going to bust it up with the mic. Make sure you don't get scrolled off the screen while you do this, but just slam the mic several times, and this actually hurts the heavy mole more than some of the other bosses. So we'll be able to finish this guy off in no time. Just a couple more microphones should do it, and that's it. Now, unfortunately, we are not able to use the mic against all of the bosses in boss rush mode, so we will have to take the sword to fight the Meta Knight. The Meta Knight is the hardest part of this run. We want to try to save as much of our health as we can for the last few bosses, but we'll probably take a hit or two here. It's hard to beat the Meta Knight without taking any. So we trapped him in a corner, that's pretty good. And the Meta Knight goes down. From here, we'll grab the 6th piece of the star rod, and that's going to take us on to King Dedede, but this time, we still have the microphone. That's right, the sword does not overwrite it. So you want to stay all the way in the upper left corner when you start using the microphone. You'll fall a little bit through the air as you keep using it, but this should hopefully keep us safe from most of the king's attacks, because as you can see, he does keep moving between our microphone charges. So we're slamming the mic, going farther and farther down the screen. And it's getting a little bit dicey here, but we should be able to beat this guy with the mic without taking any damage. And that did it. The king is defeated, and now there's only 2 bosses left. There's no cheating for the power orb or the nightmare. It says mic at the bottom of the screen, but now it's shifted over to star rod. So the star rod does overwrite it at the beginning of the fight. Remember, the power orb does a predictable set of attacks. If you've seen this guy once, you've seen it 1,000 times. So here are the 5 energy waves. Make sure to get out of the way of the 5th one, but staying in the middle will keep you safe from the others. And when it does that array of stars, you just want to stay in the middle of the far left and just keep hammering away, and you'll get a lot of hits in. So here was the charge attack, and then there's going to be a couple more stars after that, and then here comes another big array after a few more sets. So there's that big array, and this time we got hit by it, but if we only take 1 hit against this boss, that's going to be fine. And we've done it! Okay, alright. Wasn't sure there for a moment. And once you grab the warp star, only the nightmare remains. Just like before, the nightmare follows a fairly predictable pattern. There's a couple spots where it can do one of 2 different things, but for the most part, it just follows the same set of actions every time. So at the beginning, it's going to open the cloak, and we can try to get a free hit on it. You'll want to float up to the top of the screen to facilitate that. And here we go. Watch for him to raise the hands. There it is, and we got him. So now we want to stay underneath the nightmare whenever we can, follow him around the screen, and here we have to take a small hit to hit him whenever he opens the cloak. And that's one of the easier attacks to fend off. He just flies down towards you without shooting out any stars. You can just quickly hit him with the star rod there. Hit him from the back whenever he opens his cloak on that attack. And just stay at the bottom. You can see that we did not have to duck to avoid that circular attack. And we missed him there again. That's a hard one to hit him on, but we were close enough to hit him when he went upside down that time. And now we're just going to follow along with the boss. A little hop, and that's it. We've done it. We've beaten Kirby's Adventure's boss rush mode. All we can do now is sit back, relax, and enjoy the cheesy ending. It appears that we did some significant damage to the moon. Well, I hope that's not a problem, but everyone seems to be okay. Kirby fought to find the star rod, but King Dedede did not mean any harm, because bad dreams had invaded Dreamland. A nightmare had come to the Dream Spring and tried to cause pain to the people. Dedede had foiled the nightmare by hiding the star rod from him, but it did cause everyone to stop dreaming, so something else had to be done. And that's why Dedede helped Kirby beat the nightmare. Now everyone's dreams will return. Tonight, Dreamland will sleep well. And Kirby certainly deserves a nice long rest. I think if I ate as many calories as that guy did, I'd probably black out for 3 days. With a masterful throw, Kirby returns the star rod to the Dream Spring. And with a little bit of magic, it comes back to life. As the screen fades to white, the dreams of the world rain down as stars. We see Kirby one last time, and he waves goodbye from his warp star. And that's it. Roll the credits. I had this game back in 1993, and it was just so impressive what the developers were able to do on the 8-bit NES. This game is crazy. Extra modes, hidden switches, mini games. These are not the kind of things you'd find on the NES. That was the kind of stuff that you'd see on the next generation of games. But here it was on the old Nintendo. This was the kind of game that you could just come back to whenever you had a few hours to kill, and you can just play through it very casually and have a nice relaxing time. I had always wondered how the mix ability worked, so I was happy to be able to finally understand that. I thought that if you mixed 2 different enemies together that the combination actually mattered, but in truth, the game is really only looking at one of those enemies. I was also impressed to find out how many copies this game sold. You wouldn't think that an NES game that was released in 1993 would be able to sell almost 2 million copies. But this game managed to do it. I think pretty much everyone that was still playing the NES at this time simply had to get this game. As we leave Dreamland behind, we remember what Billy once said. We all end in the ocean, we all start in the stream. We returned the star rod to the fountain of dreams in the middle of the night. The end. Well, I hope this video was able to help you finally beat Kirby's Adventure, bringing dreams back to a sleepless world. If it did, make sure to give it a like, and make sure to subscribe for more videos. Because there will always be more magical fountains to restore, and that's why we'll be back again next week with another video game you can beat. Thanks for watching.